vision and awareness.
With his injury. We wish him well.
Chris P says, have we got technical issues? No.
Well, no, we're here, aren't we? We're here. I think we're here. Yeah. We've always got technical issues. We make no bones about that.
If you want us to be inside Super League, you need to get us a budget.
A budget?
And Lois and Will Perry and some tan, and then we'll be alright. But can't afford any of them.
No. So you stuck with us, 3 people. No Ledge this week. He is still injured, so it is an ongoing. We are starting to get worried now.
Well, it's in the paper now, isn't it?
We're thinking about having a dual reg. That's how bad things are getting.
I think we should delist him.
Should we get him off the payroll?
And then bring him back on his foot?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. We have got a couple of polls going, by the way. Welcome everyone, anyway. Good evening and welcome. I've put a Twitter poll up at Mark Wilson Radio. Who, after 4 rounds of the Super League, should be most concerned about relegation? We've had quite a lot of votes, actually. Toronto, 51%. Hull KR, 30%. Wakefield, 14%. A and other at 5%. I haven't read the comments yet. I'll have a look at those. And we've also said, assuming Saints, Wigan and Warrington make the top 5, which clubs are most likely to join them? Cass 34%, Hull 43%, Catalans 12%, Huddersfield 11%. I didn't put Leeds in because I only had 4 options. But I do think Leeds are going quite well. And we'll talk about that throughout the next 2 hours, I am sure. Now we'll get the cup draw live.
Yeah, can't wait for that.
We'll steal it as though we've done it live.
Yeah. Well, we're never going to get the chance to do it properly, are we? So Sandy's almost our. She's written in the magazine. She's our surrogate, and if she draws wait for that against a certain team, I'll be blocking her on Twitter, just like.
It's a bit harsh, isn't it? You're alright.
Just like some
you're
people.
Looking a bit bedraggled today, Rich.
Yeah, well,
what's happening?
Tired. I've got a day off at the weekend. It's not be good.
Oh, good lad. Shouldn't be such a jet-setting businessman.
Well, no, but got to do these things, haven't you?
Phil, are you well?
Yeah, we have gifts.
Gifts?
Oh yeah, we need to open them because I'm hungry.
Right, hold on.
Have.
What are these?
We've been sent.
Do people know we can't be bribed?
Precious cookies on board. It says.
These aren't space cakes, are they? Are we being got?
I'm not sure we should be doing this.
The next 2 hours of the show. Well, I've already had my biscuit.
I never thought of that.
I've had my biscuit downstairs, so I am not going to be rude. I'll have mine later in the sanctuary of my own home.
You might not be able to resist.
That may well be the case, but I need a bit of drive home, so I'll let you be the guinea pig if you want to do that. You're more than welcome. You can get in touch on Twitter at Forty20 Live. Get in touch on the YouTube, on Facebook, wherever you want to get involved. You know the drill. Get in touch.
3 things.
Yes.
3 things which gladden the heart.
All right,
of a
good.
Rugby League follower.
Go on then.
Well, first, I know we'll talk about it in more detail. World Club Challenge was absolutely magnificent.
In what way?
In 2 ways. The occasion itself, the Saints did it really well, but the match. If we could watch Rugby League like that every single week, of that quality, intensity and standard, we will be one of the biggest sports in the world.
We would.
It was a fantastic
We need more
Saturday.
Trent Robinson though, don't we?
We do. We
need more Trent Robinson.
A lot of the best PR came from Trent Robinson.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
But to be fair to St Helens, they were 3 passes away from winning that game.
I'm not having that.
They made enough chances to win it.
They made enough chances to make it close.
Yeah.
I must say, I was watching it, and I'm not going to lie, I was working Saturday afternoon, so I couldn't get to the game in time. And I was watching it in the pub on the old iPad with my dad. It looked great, full house, brilliant. I'm really pleased about that because it needed to be. It needed to look that way on the telly, and it did look that way on the telly. But for me, it just looked like every England / Great Britain Australia game I've watched for 25 years. As in, we play really well for an hour, but crucially they couldn't just do it.
And you need to have all your best players out when you play the best. And there's nothing wrong with the way that the young guys played for Saints. But you just think if that had been Percival and Grace, they may have converted one of them.
Possibly, yeah. And look, hey, it is what it is. We all know that. Brilliant, and I think a few players really enhanced their reputation.
As an event and an occasion, and something we could all be proud of. Yeah. Which we'll talk about in more detail, the game itself, but hats off.
Yes, well done to St Helens. Well done to Sydney as well.
2 others, the Indigenous game.
Yes.
Fabulous game. Considering, again, that was their first proper hit out of the season. Incredible. But all the stuff that went before it. All of the way that they celebrated the communities that produced those 2 teams, all of the official ceremony beforehand, all of the war cries, everything about that just said why we are so inclusive as a sport. I thought that the fact that 23,000 people again turned up and honoured the Indigenous, there was all this talk about, oh, they're not going to play the national anthems. I'll tell you what, they didn't need to. Both sets of players were absolutely magnificent in the way they celebrated their heritage. Very proud of that. And then Canterbury and Cronulla went to PNG this weekend to play a trial match. And again, don't know anything about the rugby, but the stories that are littered on social media about the good that that trip has done for the people of PNG and the way in which the players embraced the local community and what it's meant to them. It's been a good weekend for rugby league and what we can do as a sport.
Very good. Very good. Really good
And
weekend
now
for
the
you.
cookies
Oh
are.
yeah, you go on then. Here we go.
Apparently, you're one of your bits of commentary has made it onto an advert for Rugby Union on
It
Talk
has.
Sport, apparently.
Oh, is it?
So they'll do anything to steal stuff from our sport to make it better.
No, I can't possibly comment on that. I don't think it belongs to me. So
It's,
this is a hell of a cookie you've got
it's
in here.
from the London Broncos Supporters Association.
Oh,
It's celebrating 40 years of the Broncos, or Crusaders stroke Broncos.
How long does it take you to open your Christmas present? Just get ripped in, Phil.
No, I don't want to destroy something. You can use it again. Recycle. That's a cookie.
Oh, look at that.
London
Look at
Broncos,
that.
40
Wow.
years.
I'm going to eat that.
Well, Rich has got a bit of a problem now because he's on a. He's
No,
on
it's
a,
next week.
No. He's on some kind of sponsored diet, which means
Next
we can eat all
next
the
week.
biscuits.
Next week.
No, I think you should be warming up, Rich.
As long as
You
it's not
can't
that
just
chocolate.
cut it off on the on the 1st of March and not eat anything.
Wow.
That's a good point.
That's a hell of a biscuit, by the way.
Look at
I'm
that.
regretting my 2 biscuits downstairs.
That is a gingerbread.
Are we going to tell them the sent us 2 by mistake?
Shh.
Well, where's yours, Rich? They haven't sent
That's,
you one.
that's true, yeah, that's true.
Good job the legend's not here. Thank you for that.
That'll be on gone
Fantastic.
now.
Must
Yes.
be eaten by tonight. Oh no.
By 7.
It's a shame, isn't it?
What's happening, Rich? Come on. Talk
Dave
to
Allen,
me.
our friend, he
Yes.
knows all about PR. He was saying it was good. He wants some good positive chat about how great Trent Robinson is as an ambassador for the sport. Showed his class again last week before and after the match. The best thing is, Sydney Roosters, and you can tell by their social media, whether they treated it as a trial match or not, did not come out and say this is just a trial match and it doesn't matter as people.
He made the
He
game
gets it, doesn't it?
feel that, and I was pleased when they won the grand final because you know you're going to get a proper game this time out. Whereas if Melbourne had come, they'd have made a big thing about resting players.
Oh, we're not coming. Come
Yeah.
to us if you want. But
You
we're
know,
not
they had players missing, but they were missing. They weren't left at home. Well, we'll leave them.
They
in that
arrested Boyd Coleman, but he was the only one. But the fact is that what Trent Robinson said about how important this is as a concept, how he implored Todd Greenberg to commit the NRL to putting some money into this so it's a two-way street, all of that. He talks in the press conference afterwards about 4 teams from each hemisphere have got to be involved. You know, 3 games over here, 1 game over there. He's got ideas of how to promote this series, and he clearly has a love and a respect and an admiration for Super League because he worked in it. But the way he puts everything across, very hard to say he's the best coach in the world.
No, and a fine ambassador for the game as well. We'll talk more about that game and what effects it might have in the next few weeks for Saints because they did tip everything into it.
They
Didn't
did.
quite get there, did they, in the end? I was pleased for Worms. He got his try at the end.
He was outstanding for them.
He was. He was.
Do,
Although he was
do
good
help
at, he was
yourself
good
to
at
some
Hull
of this, otherwise
the
I'm
week
going to be
before
sick.
for his 20 minutes. I want to ask the question, Hull, are they in crisis having lost to Saints
Well,
and
2
Wigan?
weeks ago they were the best team in the competition. I don't know what's happened.
Well, 3 weeks ago they were,
Was it 3 weeks
but they
ago?
aren't now. Lee Radford, is he under pressure? Don't like saying that 4 games in, but
He's always under pressure.
they've got a tough game this week against Catalans. I've had the week off, and I'm going on your theory. Catalans should win that game.
I think it does make a difference at this time of the season, but it is a big pressure game at home.
Yeah.
As you say, against the team that have had the luxury of training in really decent conditions. It's been nice down in the south of France this week. That's a test.
Well, we'll have a look at that and, of course, more as well. We'll look at Castleford, who beat Wakefield. Did Wakefield get locked in the dressing room at
I'm not
half
sure.
time?
I don't know. I think they got lost somewhere, didn't they?
They were winning at half time, didn't score in the second half.
Well,
Picked up 2 big injuries.
I think we
Doom and gloom.
we thought, Nigel Wood's idea of getting points for each half had come in. So
All right, so
Louisa
you
got a
were
point.
winning at half time.
Yeah,
so
that's 2 points. Yeah.
That'll do.
So,
Yeah. Will Wakefield ever beat Castleford again? That should be
Yeah,
a
will
question.
they? Yeah. Don't know when. Good point.
Huddersfield, top of the league, unbeaten. We'll talk
Happy
about
enough.
them. Yeah, beating Hull KR pretty convincingly, has to be said. Salford beaten at home by the Rhinos. Yeah, did fancy
Played
the
well in the
Rhinos.
second half.
Yeah.
As has been pointed out, a bad weekend results for teams from the Manchester area, with Salford and Toronto both losing in Super League.
Well,
That's
Toronto
it.
though.
Toronto actually showed
all of a
signs
sudden
of a
nearly
team that
won.
were improving.
The panic has eased, hasn't it? Every goal, when they were 22-0 down at one point, everyone's going, oh, here we go. Got back to 22 all.
And they've got 3 more weeks of Tony Gigo on the free, so that's good.
Yeah, on the free.
Yeah.
Can we get him on here? Will he come on here? We can offer him expenses.
Tony Gigo, the new.
I think
Christmas scheme.
expenses have to include a 5-star hotel and a chauffeur-driven limousine. That's the only thing.
Maybe that's come out of Brian Noble's budget. No, he's not there anymore.
Yeah, what do we make of that? I know he's a friend of yours, so it's quite. That biscuit is very nice.
It is very nice. I spoke to him at the World Club Challenge. He was there doing his media duties. I think, again, there's no one issue that has caused this. I have a feeling that there is some disenchantment with the governing bodies. I think he spent over 18 months trying to put things into place to stop issues like they've got at the moment becoming issues, that a lot of what's happening has been foreseeable. Suggestions have been made, things, even dispensations have been asked for that nobody has come back in time to put anything in place that has alleviated a problem that everybody could see was going to be there. I think also there is some issues with, I think he has felt that the club itself could probably do a little bit more to not be seen to be not paying its bills in the manner in which it has been. I think he also said that there is a tiredness factor that personally creeps in, that when you're flying to Toronto, for half a year, for 4 years, it does take it out of you. So I think he just got to the point where he feels that he can't contribute a lot more to the journey that they're going in, and it was time for him to step down. But a lot more will probably come out over the next couple of weeks, that where Toronto go from here. I don't think it's an issue that clearly they're not going to finish the season, but there's some things that the sport needs to do and the club needs to do to ensure that there is viability in the long term.
Damn, that biscuit's nice. That biscuit isn't. I've already had I had my fill of biscuits downstairs, and now you just.
I just opened it.
You're a git.
Challenge Cup draw coming up as well, so that's
Yeah.
in about 10
And
minutes.
it's live.
And it's
Slightly
live.
delayed.
With Toronto, innit?
Yes.
Right.
And Wakey.
Yeah.
If Toronto at home, are they at home?
No.
They're away.
But apparently New York, who are coming in 2021 to the Challenge Cup, are wanting to play at home.
New York.
Yeah.
When was it the Magic Weekend we went to where they were selling New York t-shirts and hats? Hence the genesis.
1896.
Hence the genesis of the Pyongyang pylons. as a
Wasn't,
kind of Mickey
but didn't we have 2 teams from abroad who wanted to be in the Challenge Cup who were told they'd have to pay a bond if they wanted to be a Challenge Cup? So why are we entering more teams from abroad in the
Well,
Challenge Cup?
I've spoken to Ricky, who's the man behind New York, and asked what's the plan for next year. Then he said they want to be in the cup, they want to be in the 1895 Cup as well. That's a midweek competition, and I've just asked him how it's going to be financed. I think questions have got to be asked. Whatever anyone thinks about Toronto, somewhat, and people say, "Oh, don't pay them." Well, they've obviously paid a lot of them, or they wouldn't have got this far, and they've spent a hell of a lot of money getting this far. So who is willing to put that money? This is not the Premier League where you buy Salford City, put a few million, get them into League One, put a few more.
Oh no! What a fairy tale Salford City is being bankrolled by.
You better put these up the other end of the table.
You better do, yeah.
Well, what a fairy tale! Can't wait to see.
But the point is, there's no pot of gold in the Premier League in Rugby League at the minute, and I don't foresee that changing anytime soon.
No.
So I don't know what the. I don't know.
Well, apparently Ottawa are coming in, but we have no details of who's financing them, where their players
Well, they've
are.
got 15 multi-millionaires that could finance them. That's what Eric Perez said.
Well, what they've got is Hemel Stag's licence.
And have they not also said that they're not interested in getting in Super League?
Yeah. And
So what?
and
Can
that-
I ask them?
and that-
Ask the
and that they
question.
want to play local players who don't exist.
Can then I ask the question? What's the point in that?
Well, exactly.
And that is a genuine.
I don't know. I
With
genuinely
Toronto,
don't
there
know.
clearly was an MO. We want a team in Super League.
And one of the corollary factors of that is that they spent a lot of money that they didn't need to get into
Yeah.
Super League. But everybody knew 3 or 4 years ago that was the aim. So,
Yeah. And wasn't our hopes of having 2 teams in Canada that would help get a TV? Well, you're not going to get a TV deal if one of them's in League One and
No.
bottom of the table.
And nor are you going to get a team in New York playing only Challenge Cup ties next year. Because how does that work? Either they get knocked out in the first round, and then that's the
well,
end of
they've
their
got to put a
season.
squad. I mean, look, I mean, Ricky's put it on, so I'm sure he'll be happy for me to say. So they're hoping to play some exhibition games as well. But who's going to
paying
sign
for
for
it?
them?
Well,
Well, I've
that's-
asked him that question, and I
I
replied.
mean, who is going to say, I'll sign for you because I want to play in some exhibition game?
We want, yeah, exactly.
And who are you going to play?
we
Because there's
want-
no bye weekends. It's not like there's always a Super League team that doesn't have a match. We've got
Yeah.
Catalan on 2 fixtures because we messed up the early part of the season.
Yeah, I'm all for expansion. I really am, and I credit to Toronto, but it's cost someone a hell of a lot of money to get that there. And I just query, and again, I'll come back to as a sport, and we have actually, by the way, we have requested that Robert Elston comes on our show.
Oh, have we?
Yeah, and we're
Are
on,
we
we're on a
confident?
list. We're on a, yeah, well, he said he'll do it. Well, his man said he'll do it, so hopefully he will come on at some point.
Excellent.
And we can ask him these questions, because I sometimes feel like we're not criticise it. We ask questions, but it's hard when people don't answer the questions, isn't it? But
Sandy is watching live from Hull Kingston Rovers.
is she? Yeah.
So the pre-match entertainment for the draw must be
When you, Sandy, when you put your
The
hand
hot
in,
one, the hot
don't go. Ooh, that's hot. When you put your hand in, whatever
Make
you
sure
do,
your number
don't do that.
6s and your number 9s are the right way around.
Yeah, don't do what the legend did. Get it wrong. Get it wrong.
What my fault? It's somebody else's fault.
They did put that underneath.
Don't call the trophy the person on top of it camp idol like Richard Bacon did. Low water mark.
Was it Workington he got?
Walkington, yeah.
Yes.
And then
Is that Wokingham?
and then
You
people
can't stop, can you?
people defended him. People defended him. Person defended him. What? So
Read on,
while
read.
you're eating.
Yeah.
Gavin says half the teams in League One Championship don't have any intention of going into Super League, but we're supposed to support them? Question mark. Has
That's a
Toronto
good point, Gavin. That's a really good point.
Here's Liam. Has Toronto brought more attention to the Championship Rugby? I don't mind admitting I didn't pay attention to the Championship until I was curious how Toronto would go over the last few years. Now I love Championship Rugby.
I think the issue as well with Toronto is there's a real mixed message coming out of Super League. That on the one hand we've got them saying, isn't it great they've signed Sonny Bill Williams, they've given us all the profile that we ever desired. And on the other hand you've got Robert Elson saying, well, they've still got to prove themselves. Well, you know, I go back again to what we've said on this programme on many an occasion. If you're really serious about a team being given the time to breathe, you have to bring in expansion and a moratorium on relegation at the same time. You cannot have both. It doesn't work.
There's some really interesting quotes from Robert about what you've just mentioned, about what are they? Are we growing the game in Canada, or
Yes.
are we putting a franchise in Canada for Super League? He's obviously, there's got to be an element of concern that if they get relegated, this is as a sport, we should know what happens next. Are they going to bankroll it to come back in?
We could legitimately have the same question about Hull KR. How many times can Mr. Hodgel be expected to put his hand in his pocket to bring a team back? Now he's done it once, and the whole community rallied round, and that was fantastic.
I
but
think
what if he walked away? Somebody's got to get
I think Hull KR, right, getting relegated was in a strange way was good for the club.
It sort of
I think
got them
it
to
refreshed
think
a lot
about-
of people's
yeah.
attitude to the club. The sponsors were tighter than ever. The fans stuck by the club.
yeah, and they
That's all right
rebuilt-
doing it once.
Yeah. No,
Doing it again,
it's
and
really
we know
tough.
Neil would have to fund that on his own now.
Yeah.
You know, I got
So
asked
is
about
that
Hull
any
KR.
different to David Argyle and the risk of all your eggs being?
No, because I even if Hudge walked away, there'd still be a Hull KR. And I think Hudge loves the club that much. He wouldn't, even if he went,
even
here's
if
your
you
half
went
a million and we're part-time.
yeah,
there
and we
would
might
always
get
be a
straight
club.
promoted.
Yeah. Whereas we don't know with Toronto because
No.
we don't, someone spent a lot of money there. And
And the other
it
thing
must
is
be
that
gut-wrenching,
there
you know.
were clearly talks going on over the weekend about whether David Argyle, as a personal investor, is going to take a stake in Melbourne Storm. Now, does that strengthen Toronto?
Well-
Because we've heard all of this with London Scholars and it never happened. But then suddenly, if an owner has a significant stake in two clubs in two different competitions, does that actually make them stronger, draw them together, or does that become his out if anything happened at Toronto? You know, it's all.
No, I think that's a good. I think that's a good thing.
It could be fantastic. I mean, you know, if they could get some of the young Melbourne players playing in Toronto, who wouldn't count presumably.
I've said this before, you know, about all these young halfbacks that we see coming from nowhere in the NRL. I can't understand why Super League, I know it's not a visa, but I cannot understand why we cannot go and get one or two of those in our competition.
Well, there were a couple playing in the nines who you'd think straight away.
That's what I mean. The players that we talk about, the quality of players, not necessarily here. Well, maybe we should have a look at getting some of them, but that's a side issue. And it's an interesting one, isn't it, with Toronto? And can you imagine if you're in charge of the game, like Robert is, would you want to pin all your flag to that mass, and then all of a sudden they're not there because you're in it, you can't win?
I have some sympathy with Robert in this, in that personally, I think he might be a fan of what Toronto can bring to the game, because the aims and objectives he's laid out that he wants for more column inches, younger, fresher, relevant, appealing. Toronto tick a lot of those boxes.
Yeah.
Sonny Bill Williams ticks a lot of those boxes. Not, you know, the level of interest there's been in the game over the close season was almost solely generated by what Toronto were doing, until obviously the terribly tragic stories of Rob Burrow and Matty Masoi. But in terms of what he wants Super League to be, Toronto deliver a lot of that. But he is dependent on the 12 club chairman who he works for setting out his agenda of work. And a lot of those will look at Toronto either by way of they're not doing things the way that we think they should be done, or they're a threat to us. Because if they do stay up, we're going down.
I got asked about it, people said, oh, clubs don't want them to succeed. And I was like, no, I don't think that's the right question. I think if you ask them, do they want Toronto to succeed, or they might succeed at your expense, that's a different question.
Yeah.
There'll be people that want Toronto in, but don't want them in if it means they might go out. And I think that's the problem. I think that's why, if you're going to change, and again, it keeps coming back to what is Super League going to look like in 2 years. You know, I was on the BBC website today. I read an article Dave Woods did about what a big 2 years it is for the sport. I thought, yeah, bang on. It is massive. But what's the plan? And we keep coming back to that, don't we? What is the plan?
We're all dependent on a television deal.
Well, we know, but every sport is, Phil.
Because you cannot.
Other than football, if Sky pulled the plug, football would be able to sell their own products.
A television deal is what are you offering television that makes you sufficiently important for them to keep investing in you, perhaps to the level that they have, if not slightly more, if you can do it. Well, I think it's changing the face and the look of your sport, becoming relevant. You know, why is the Netball Super League suddenly getting more coverage than it's ever had before? Because the teams that are in there are exciting people. The fixture, you know, there's links to people like Wasps. They have a netball team. They've got 9,000 people there this week. Never had 9,000 at a netball game. And you know, suddenly as a broadcaster, you're going, maybe we could sell this. There's brands here. I mean, I know that the Rhinos are going to be in the Netball Super League in 2021, and again they're being encouraged to apply because netball has decided what it wants to look like over the next 3, and it gets a television deal on the back of it. Well, what do we want to look like? Can we continue to have the same teams playing the same fixtures, the same time of year?
Well, it goes back into what Gavin's just said about, and this is a point we've made before, you and I, about the full-time and the part-time.
Absolutely. Well, the
problem
division is there.
With Batley, Dewsbury, Oldham, whatever, paying their own way, washing their face, and they get some funding, I get that. I've no problem with them being what they are. They're not going to win the Super League, they're not going to win the Challenge Cup, they might get to the 1895 Cup, and good luck to them if they do. They might have a great year and win, getting a player, whatever. That's fine. But if they're not going to get into Super League, then we need to say, right, well, this is what we want in Super League.
I also think that the strength of the sport is its links with its own communities. So it's very important that we have a Batley and a Dewsbury and an Oldham and a Worthington and a while, because the work that they do in their communities is absolutely essential. That's the great strength of rugby league. It does things that football can't do, that rugby union can't do, great respect cricket can't do. They appeal to a certain type of audience. We appeal to communities that we come from but need us. We provide something that no one else can, particularly in deprived areas, run-down areas. But that doesn't mean that you have to be in Super League, where a big broadcaster is going to come in and say, I will pay you multi-million pounds because you do good work in your community. Unfortunately, whether we like it or not, they do want to see Toronto play Warrington.
Yeah. It's an interesting one, and I can't help but feel it needs to be sorted
out.
But
I don't think you can compare crowd figures, because there's loads of reasons why some clubs can draw crowds, some can't. What their own demographic is, whether a game's on television. But it was relatively interesting that Warrington and Toronto drew more than Castleford and Wakefield this week.
Yeah.
On the basis of the
telly's fault and the weather.
Yeah, the telly and the weather, because they don't have weather in Cheshire. But that was clearly, Warrington went out of their way to entice people to come, because the opposition they were playing had some value, even though the opposition weren't bringing a huge amount of fans. So they got there in 11,500. They spread them around the ground, so it didn't look like the away end was empty. And they actually got more than Cass and Wakey did, which is a traditional, well-supported local rugby league derby and occasion. Now, 2 games on at the same time with different crowd figures don't tell you anything, but that, if you're a television executive, that comes into the equation.
No, fair point. Thought the attendances across the board were all right this week.
Yes,
in
very
the
good.
Super League.
Very good. I just think that if the only game on this weekend had been St Helens and the Roosters, then it would have been a total sellout. It was close to a sellout. It was a couple of thousand short of a sellout. But I know a lot of people that went to watch Salford and Leeds in the afternoon and were going home to watch the World Club Challenge.
Yeah.
We're all a bit nesh these days, but it was tough doing 2 games, one after the other, in cold, wet weather.
Yeah.
Snowflakes, that's what you want, snowflakes.
I did both.
You'll be wanting to head of football for hours next.
We should have put that game on the pedestal it deserved, and Trent Robinson said it, this game should have been sold out a month ago. And he's right, but it's not going to be when you're playing all these other fixtures at the same time.
Yeah, and I also think when you actually play at Saints, that puts people off.
Yeah.
That's what we said last week, wasn't it? You put it in a bigger stadium.
Yeah.
Looks more neutral, it's more of an event.
Yeah.
When they took their games to Ellen Road in the World Club Challenge, it was an event. When they played North Queensland at Headingley, it's
but
when they played Manly at Headingley and sold it out, it was one of the best atmospheres I've ever known at Headingley. So you've got to balance the two.
I just think though I think you rule out the neutral going. A Wigan fan won't go to Saints to watch Saints in the World Cup Challenge, but he might go to Bolton to watch
But then
Sydney.
It goes back to, you've got to announce these fixtures a lot earlier.
Oh, of course you have. Yeah, of course you have.
I'm watching the draw. It's on the Our League app, it's not on the BBC website yet.
Okay.
Is it on?
With Toronto Wolfpack Global Ambassador, according to the BBC.
Really?
So it's a bit of
get paid for that?
It's a bit of a upgrade from Superfan, or Glamorous Mum, as she was described in the Super League Grand Final programme last year.
Has she bought poutine to give?
No, she's not wearing a hat either, which is disappointing. But
I bet she's shrieking.
Well, probably we can't hear that because for copyright reasons.
Yeah.
The RFL will sue us, take us off the air.
Yeah.
I want to know who'll be first in Super League, because we had a message on, what was it, Facebook or
They can't see the reflection off the camera off your glasses onto the thing, can they? You're not subliminally broadcasting.
Like all those people who were tweeting out the highlights of the Warrington games that was going on Friday, because they obviously got it off Mascot's feed.
Yeah.
They've not thought of that, have they? They've not thought of that.
No. There are some clever people about.
Yeah. Kevin says, we need a team in Cumbria first, got the grassroots there. Well, I can't wait to see that Super League in 2 years' time with New York, Cumbrian Lakers and Liverpool FC.
I think it's safe to say we had a team in Cumbria in 1996 when Super League first started, and its average crowd, even though it was a very poor team, was about 2,000, which is not sustainable.
Who was that from, Kev?
Yeah.
I'll say what we've said before. We had 600 at Workington on the weekend. There was, 600 at Whitehaven for that Oldham game last week. if you could say that all you Cumbrians would support Team Cumbria wherever it played, whichever ground it played at,
or in a bespoke,
I think you would have more of a chance.
Yes.
But when you're only
It
getting
has to be
600 to
Team
watch your
Cumbria.
own team, it ain't going to happen, mate. And it ain't going to. I know what you're saying. It's there's a lot of very good players have come from there, but the numbers don't add up. Workington 612 a Challenge Cup game against Doncaster. You've got a good coach there. You've got some good players there, but you're still only getting 600.
It's bringing
people.
back the M word for it to work.
Well, I don't think
You
it is.
have
I
to
think you
have-
keep the three
yeah,
identities
no, but
in
you
your
have to have an
championship
overarching
or bottom or League One,
team.
but your team is Cumbria if you're in Super League, and you've
But-
got to have a ground to play at. Where would that ground be? Who's going to finance
But
it?
we also keep being told that oil and water don't mix, and that never the twain.
So
shall
really,
meet.
what they're doing is they want a team, but they don't want a team because they're not willing to grasp the nettle that would get them a team.
Or they need to do like one of those teams needs to do like Toronto did and over-invest to get them into Super League. But that's not going to happen.
That's a
there is-
gamble. That's
But
not
there's
worth
nobody.
taking, is it?
Again, the only industry in that area is BNFL, and they want to be seen to be supporting everybody.
The BBC caption writer not convinced on Sandy's credentials. They put rugby league superfan in inverted commas. Right. This might be why I write the whole of the TV column about next month, 4020, because there's nothing else going on. Just the Challenge Cup draw, which hasn't started yet.
No.
I wish,
we'll get that out of the way.
Well,
and
I think
we'll
they
look
asked
at the
Sandy a
game.
question, so it hasn't started.
can all sports, and the FA Cup draw is the worst this year, turn it into an entertainment spectacle. Just draw the teams. No one gives a toss about anyone. Just draw the numbers.
And
Yeah.
don't give us the numbers of the teams beforehand, who to look out for, because that destroys the joy of the draw.
No, but everyone wants to know, Phil. It's like we
No,
need
no,
to know.
no,
we need to know
no.
before he says it. We need to know.
Superfan.
We need the excitement of what used to be sitting around the radio at 1 o'clock on a Monday afternoon going, Doncaster Rovers.
Bring back the 5 minutes at the end of Look North with Harry Grayson and two faceless people from the RFL sat there in front of her.
Gentlemen, please.
Yeah, literally.
That
So,
was
you
the
remember
great Dave Dobson.
Dave Wood should get a
Oh,
joker, and if you don't like the Tyson, I'll put it back.
They're showing some
Put it
brilliant
back in.
highlights now. And
Put it back in.
while we can't talk anything, remember a few weeks ago we were looking for the greatest rugby league player in the world,
Yeah.
and I said Channel 4 did this thing, hosted by Danny Kelly and devised by Daley Thompson to find out who is the greatest. I've got the time book, and there's
Where
actually
did you
more
get that?
off of eBay. There's
Wow.
surprisingly there are more rugby league people involved than you would think. And Neil Fox isn't in the list, he just missed out. He's in the list of people who could have been in there but weren't. So who do you think in this list is the highest rated rugby league person? Bearing in mind this book is from 1996, so it can't be Sir Kevin Sinfield. He's not been retroactively put in the book. In the 90th greatest sportsman in Britain, Martin Offiah. Billy Boston's 90th, just below
Wow.
Jonathan Edwards, who just did triple jump for crying out loud.
Yeah, he was quite good at it, mate.
Yeah, but and then he got on songs of praise and all that, didn't he? Eric Ashton's at 87.
Wow.
And I'm probably going to miss out somebody. And go on to the next page where Ellery Hanley is in there at 52nd, and the best rugby league player ever, according to Channel 4. And as we know, Channel 4 love rugby league because they're going to show it all now. They're based in Leeds. He's not on the list. The list of the 5, he's not on the list. Alex Murphy, 39th greatest sportsman of all time, person of all time.
When you say British,
Below Jeff Boycott and Fred
British, you
Truman.
mean?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
You have to fill in your own top 20 because they don't trust you to not put Daley Thompson at the top. Torval Dean's in there.
Torval and
Torval
Dean.
Dean, that's 2.
Yeah.
Not surely, just did dancing.
Fred Perry makes a good t-shirt.
Nick Faldo,
Bobby Moore.
Kenny Dalglish, Ian Botham, they're all there.
Yeah.
Seb Coe, he's banned. He's not. Now they're showing the highlights of London York, which is proof that I was right again. BBC dropped a right one picking Bradford versus Underbank. And people are going, now you're just biased against Bradford. No.
They
There's
didn't
a
have it on
total-
the red button though, did they? Didn't they drop it off the red
Yeah,
button?
put the women's football on the
Yeah.
But it was a
I know a
total,
few of the locals in my local pub weren't happy.
terrible game to pick. Because it was always going to be that result. And the fact that Bradford only scored 22
It was
points.
a moral victory to Underbank.
Oh, so they,
So
Bradford
are
they-
got
are they
place
in
in
the draw?
the-
Yeah, but
Did
Bradford-
get
John Keir has said, look,
They get a different coloured ball, moral
Yeah.
victory. You're in
Yeah,
a
I
I
moral
feel a little bit embarrassed that we're in here, so no, please, you go in instead.
Yeah,
Same.
of course he did.
So we'll get
To
the
which
draw.
Nigel went, no, no.
But he's not involved. We'll get the draw soon. Once I've shown all the highlights of winning York.
We will.
Good
indeed.
win for York.
Yeah, very
Because,
good.
Brilliant win.
that's to come from whatever they were down and win away at London.
Yeah.
Good advert for the championship, blah, blah, blah.
Bradford beat Underbank 22-0. Great performance from Underbank, but clearly John Key not happy after the game. Featherstone just scraped past Barrows. I was surprised by that result. But
top try in the last few minutes from Gareth Gale is good.
He's related to him, isn't he? Yeah. There you go. Yeah, match-winning try in the 76th minute. Lee beat Batley quite comfortably. London beat by York. Late try for Jimmy Kinehorse. Or is it Thomas?
Germany's finest.
Was it Thomas?
It's Sunday.
Yeah.
When did he ever score a late try to win a game?
Hunslet beat North Wales, which was
that sounded like a cracking game as well.
Yeah. Rochdale beat the Army. It sounded like they had a good day off the field at Scotland. Sheffield beat Halifax.
Yes.
Big result.
At the home of Rugby League. Late try from Sheffield to win that one.
Yes, so they're in the next round. Newcastle beat Siddle 30 points to 10. Swinton beat Lee Miners.
Was that a moral victory for Siddle?
No, 56. No, we don't do.
Because they're better than Underbank, so they should have done better.
Widnes brushed aside Oldham 52-12.
Well,
and Workington beat Doncaster despite being 12-6 down at half time, 22-12. So they're all in the next round. Well done. And in the championship, another defeat for Halifax.
Yeah, Dewsbury did well, didn't they? Because
yes, there were some sendings off in that game as well, I believe.
Yeah,
a bit feisty.
Because Jermaine Watson wasn't there, would he? He'd been furious.
Yeah.
Only player banned this week from Super League is Robbie Mulhern.
Yeah, one game.
You were at Hull Wigan.
I was.
I heard Lee Radford say after the game that he was slightly worried about Liggy Sow's technique again of hitting people who were halfbacks late, and he would now be concerned that the disciplinary would look at that. Was it a big issue, or he wasn't?
I didn't even notice it. I was with Paul Cook.
You were trying to fix your wire though, in fairness.
Well, we had technical. There was no ISDN lines at the ground yesterday, so we couldn't do it. I was really annoyed, but that's life. It's out of our no one had an ISDN line. But the game, I was with Paul Cook, and watching a game with Cookie, as opposed to watching it when you're working with Cookie, is a completely different experience and a very enjoyable one. Well, possibly, but also because of he speaks as though he's a teammate. If that there's certain things. He won't accept.
Well done, Sandy.
Although Wakefield will play.
You're back it back, my friend.
Who is it?
Because it's not number one.
Is this the first?
Oh, bugger. Well, I'm not going, so there you go.
What, Toronto away?
Wakefield, Bradford, I'm not going.
The John Key derby.
Oh, you can determine who does go.
No, I can't. I'm not going. I'm not having anything to do with that bunch of crap. Winners are at home.
Live reaction.
Yeah. I'd like to say other words, but I'll get in trouble. Winners are at home.
Say what you want here now. Yeah. It's no holds barred now.
Winners are at home too.
I hope they sell that station sooner rather than later. Winners are at home too. I don't know, because I think the draw's gone wrong somewhere. Sheffield Eagles.
Yeah, very good. Not the draw Sheffield would have won. We'll come back to that in a minute. We'll keep going. You're on about Cookie. Yeah, sat with Cookie. And Cookie said, and I think Trent Robinson mentioned it on Saturday night, about that his halfback has to play at the line, otherwise the play doesn't happen. And if he plays at the line, then he gets hit. I think he actually said he knows he's going to get hit.
It's part of his job.
And that's what it is. So and Cookie said the same at the weekend. If he's playing that close to the line, I'm telling my forwards he should be getting it. I think there's some. The Sarte, was it Sarte who got banned the other week?
Yes.
That was terrible because he was 2 seconds too late.
No, he wasn't in the frame after the.
But I think when you pass it and get tackled, I think.
Well, it wasn't cited, but Lee Radford clearly had
exactly.
a concern.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we're going a bit soft on it, if I'm honest. I think he's tackled him. Well, he has got a right. He's there to be tackled.
They've broken the graphic, so I've got no idea who's playing who.
All right. Well, they'll do a graphic at the end.
Yeah. I thought they'd just do a redraw instead.
Yeah, do a redraw. Get them back. I want to talk about referees because you were at a game, Ian Watson, quite strong after the game. I was at a game yesterday. I tweeted this yesterday. I was sat, because obviously I wasn't working, so I'm sat watching the game. And there were 3 ladies sat just maybe a couple of seats further away than Rich, right? And they were of a certain age. And all they did was berate the referee. Robert Hicks was the referee yesterday. I thought he had a good game. I know I like referees and I don't really criticise.
Absolutely.
I thought he had a good game. I'm not sitting there going, no, I mean, one thing that I thought was slightly harsh against Hull, it wasn't against Wigan, so certainly no reason for them to be mourning. And it was 40 minutes of, nah, get on side, forward, do this. Every time Wigan make a tackle, it was ridiculous.
Holding down.
And then at half time, one of these ladies went down to the tunnel. Ben, I'm sat by the tunnel. She came to the tunnel. And for the first time, she actually said something positive to Wigan. She went, well played, Wigan. Never mind the referee, well played, Wigan. And then as the Hull players walked past, she was like, oh, you're all bloody actors, you cheats, you dirty, all that. And then the ref came and he just got everything. I'm thinking, what are you doing? That you have to do this at the rugby? Just come and watch your team. They've played really well. Enjoy it. And she was like going to have a bloody thrombosis, I think. It was like, oh, for God's sake. Why do people pay money to go abuse referees?
The commentary position at Salford that there is a gentleman who sits very close.
This was the female equivalent of him.
And it is infectious because when somebody starts criticising every referee decision, everybody around them jumps on that bandwagon.
It's like what?
But we'll talk about Ian Watson's reaction in a minute. But how does this work? And we've spoken about this before. I don't know the answer to this. Clearly, there were some of the Salford fans who took issue with some of the referees' decisions.
Which, I ain't being rude, if Salford won 50-0, there'd be some of those fans would take issue with the referee.
Some of the manner in which they expressed their displeasure at the referee's performance necessitated the Tannoy announcement, Rugby League is a family game.
Yeah.
Immediately that announcement was made, an even bigger section of fans started singing the referee is a W.
Yeah.
So
Wilson? Is it Wilson?
So what do you do after that? You've warned the fans with a Tannoy announcement that it's not acceptable.
If we
it
know
then
it is right,
doubly
if we know it
acceptable.
is right, and I could have pointed out these ladies here, and in fairness, they weren't swearing, so it wasn't offensive, but it was annoying me, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people replied on to it, said, I know what you mean, and it's annoying. It spoils people's enjoyment of the game, is that they're there just mourning at the referee. Wigan played really well yesterday.
But where do you go when you've issued a warning?
Well, why are stewards at Salford not said to this gentleman, look mate, I know you want to come, right? If you want to go shout like that, we're going to open up that end over there where there's no one. You can go stand in it by yourself. Because that lady shouting yesterday, they can't hear that on the pitch. So just save your breath.
But if there is no recourse to action that you're proposing,
well, you're right. I don't know if that guy swears. I mean, I think he has done occasionally.
I wasn't thinking particularly of him, but
my
it
point
sets a
is,
chain in motion. And as soon as you put that Tannoy announcement out, it's an incitement for people to then use the kind of language that
if
you're asking them
you're
not to
shouting and
use.
swearing and carrying on, then as a steward you should be going, look mate, if you do that again you're going to be asked to leave.
And then 10 minutes later the same Tannoy announcement, and everybody responds with the same. What's the point?
Let's just be honest here. There's no comeback for anyone who does anything bad in rugby league. Whether you're on the media, whether you're in the crowd, whether you're a player. What's his name? Emma McManus last year gets $3,000 for basically saying Rob Hicks cost us the Challenge Cup final.
Yeah.
What a load of crap. Your man Brian McDermott, potential fine of $5,000 for not turning up for a presser. Only what, it'd be $500, be arrested, suspended. Well, how does that work? Ian Watson should be getting £3,000 fine.
Maybe he
going
will.
at the referees.
Well,
maybe he will. I mean, the fact is...
Right, was the referee that bad? Very nice, these big.
I have to say...
Damn you, London Broncos fans, damn you.
That if I'm trying to look at it as dispassionately as possible as a game, rather than perhaps any outside influence that a coach would see that I don't, because I'm just watching it as a game, trying to be entertained. Salford were brilliant for 38 minutes, and that if they'd have gone in 8-0 ahead at half time, it would have been very, very difficult for Leeds to come back into that game because the conditions were worsening. Leeds couldn't put a set of six together, and Salford didn't kick the 2 goals to the tries that they scored because they were far out in the wind. It could have been 12-0, and it wouldn't have been unfair on the play at that point. But Salford gave away a very soft try a minute and a half before half time. They allowed Brad Dwyer to go up the middle, found Luke Gale in support. 8-6 has changed the complete complexion of the game. Leeds have gone in with a bit of a a strut in their step because they know they haven't played well, but they're really in the game. They don't need to score
Did
twice.
Lola here kiss the badge when he scored?
He looked at all the Leeds fans and went, "This is what you could have had." No, not at all.
Didn't give it the old Cliff Lesnar.
He played very well, actually. He did play. But the fact is that had nothing to do with the referee.
Right.
Leeds came out and played the second half a lot better in terms of they played the conditions. They didn't try and overplay, which I think they had in the first half. They brought 3 players off the bench who made massive contributions.
Okay.
And Salford,
Name 'em.
well, certainly Richie Mile. I thought he was absolutely outstanding when he came on a hooker. Michalewski, who scored a try, he gave him some go forward. He was really, really good. And Adam Cuthbertson, who just gave him a bit more power up front. So Leeds played the conditions really well in the second half. I'm not sure any of that has anything to do with the referee. I think the tries that Leeds either created or there was one incident clearly where Niall Evans went up for a high ball and Myler got him as he came down.
Okay.
Now I couldn't see because we're in the middle of the main stand if Evans had 1 or 2 of his feet on the ground or he was tackled in the air. Either way, it was given as a dropout.
Yeah.
Right, that's might or might not be contagious, but it was given as a dropout. So once the ball's dropped out and it's on the halfway line, it's in Salford's gift to stop that becoming a try.
Yeah.
But they didn't, and they couldn't.
Yeah.
Now that's not the referee's fault. He may have made the right or the wrong decision to issue the dropout, but he didn't miss any tackles that allowed Leeds to score on the back of that.
Okay.
So I don't think the referees need. We put both teams on a warning because they gave away. I think 3 penalties in quick succession.
Right.
Salford in the first half, Leeds in the second. So in that he was relatively consistent.
Salford won the penalty count.
I thought it was 8-all, but
That says 8-6 here.
well. Either way, there wasn't. It's not like Ian Watson is complaining because his team were 13-1 down in the penalties.
Yeah.
My problem is that we like Ian Watson. We think he's done a fantastic job. We've done nothing but compliment him for the last year and a half, and that doesn't change. He's still one of the best.
Is it a man who's frustrated that they've played 3 or 4 of games at home?
Yes,
and they've lost
and they're
3 or
not
4?
playing to their potential. But you cannot blame the referee responding to a hostile crowd. It goes back to this issue that the crowd.
What crowd?
The crowd
No,
should.
they're a decent crowd.
4-7, I think. The crowd shouldn't be as hostile to the referee.
Okay. Well, they are a hostile crowd.
But,
at Salford,
but that's not a reason to
right.
blame the referee.
I have got 2 opinions on this. One, I think Ian Watson's out of order for mourning about the officials.
He is.
I think he's got.
And the manner in which he did
I
it.
think he's got to be better than that. If
Yeah.
I'm honest, I think he's got to be better than that.
I think it gives out a
However-
really poor message.
However, he did, and I've seen him quoted. Not you were there. I've seen quotes where he said, "I've contacted Steve Ganson on, I think you say 4 occasions,
And he's never come
and I've
back.
not had the reply."
That's
Now
poor.
that to me is a massive issue because that is something that the RFL should have come out and made a statement about.
Well,
this.
especially as, to be fair, I don't think Ian Watson is a serial referee criticised
No, because I was
in
surprised.
public.
I said on social media, is that, well, I've been in plenty of Ian Watson. I've never once heard him moan about the referee, which is why I was thinking, is this a 3 losses in 4 and he's a bit miffed and maybe he's gone a bit too, and today he might have done it a bit differently. But I think when he's saying that, if I'm the RFL, I'm ringing Ian Watson up and going, right, Ian, can you forward me those, you said you've sent in whatever you've done. Can you give me details of these? And I'll be asking Steve Ganson as an employee of the RFL.
Well, he's on holiday.
Well, I'll be saying, what has happened with these?
Or
Why
I
is
will,
this
I
not
will
being
be
dealt
making
with?
a statement saying that Ian Watson's claims are groundless and that here is a charge of disrepute.
Well, that's my point. But that also goes the other way. If he has made an official complaint
Absolutely.
or question or whatever, and it hasn't been addressed, then Steve Ganson should be in the dock.
Yes.
So I do.
What I would say is
I think there's an
two-
element of
There's
both
2 different
ways.
issues there. One is, was the referee as bad as was painted out by Ian Watson? I don't think so. I don't think he was the reason of that margin of defeat for his team. I think Gil Dudson aside, who was absolutely magnificent.
Paulie got the man of the match in the paper.
We're all entitled to our opinions.
Is that because he played 80 minutes?
The issue is that not enough of the Salford players played well enough, particularly in the second half, and that now they've got a very important game at Wakefield next week, which will almost determine whether they're going to be a top 5 challenging side or are they going to be scrapping towards the bottom for the season. Because I think after 5 weeks you've got an idea of roughly where a team is going to be. And I think he's frustrated because he was missing some senior players. But they didn't gel particularly well. They didn't handle going behind very well. That's nothing to do with the referee. And they were unfortunate as well because they had some injury issues as well. I think after 50 minutes they'd lost 2 or 3 players. So you know, that's to me more of what he should have been focusing on than putting the blame on the referee.
Well, that's why I don't. He's not like that normally.
No, he's not.
And I think there might be an element of frustration, pressure, annoyance in that.
And there's another issue as well, and that is, I don't know. He said, and again, it's a very dangerous thing to say because we don't see how referees prepare for these games, and there couldn't be games without them. He said referees are being appointed who aren't ready to be at this level. Now, I haven't studied Marcus Griffiths' career, but clearly, if
he's refereed at this level before.
Clearly, if there isn't Marcus Griffiths, who else is there? We have such a shortage of top referees.
Yeah, well, we do at the minute because one of them's suspended. Isn't We're obviously not going to go into that, but he is, and that
which means that
they want. Well, it is. So they're one down. They're one down. So someone is going to obviously have to come in. It's a tough one. I would want, and again, this is for me where the RFL have got to come out here and show some and say, right, we've asked. Even if they come out this morning and say, we are aware of Ian Watson's comments regarding the performance referee and subsequent comments regarding Steve Ganson. He's been given 48 hours to provide. We'll make a statement on Wednesday. And if he then comes and says, here's my emails, I've sent him an email, I've said this, this and this, and then he said, right, we've had that, and we're speaking to Steve Ganson. He can't be seen to be above the rules, Steve Ganson. If someone's had the decency to contact him, he should have to respond to that officially. Or however he wants to do it, he's got to offer a response. And that's a problem. And that's a problem. Big problem for me. And I worry more about that. But I wonder if we're at the point now, where coaches shouldn't be allowed to comment on referees.
No, they shouldn't. But I think that's...
Just don't comment on it.
I also think it's a weakness when they do. I think it sends a message to your own team that there's been a reason outside of your control why you've lost.
It's an excuse. Until someone comes to me, Rich, right, and says, this referee's been betting on rugby league games.
Yeah.
They do not give a damn who wins. They do not care less who wins.
Has Ian Watson ever come out after a game and said, player X cost us the game by doing this?
And
name them.
I don't know where he's named players, but I've been there when he's criticised his own team. I know for a fact that they lost 2 games at home last year to teams you would expect them to beat. Yeah, and he came again. He said we can't beat teams. He said, mate, we're not there against teams we're expected to beat. We don't do it. That's our fault. It's not good enough.
Until they name player X for costing the game, then they can't do the same thing with referees.
I get that. I just think we've got to the point now because now, if Marcus Griffiths goes there, the perception is he's rubbish and he's going to cost Salford the game. He's going to get hammered all game, and I think they've got to be a bit smart. Someone said to me, put like hashtag no ref no game. It's right.
I mean, I don't follow the refereeing appointments because to me,
I don't because I couldn't give a damn.
And I'm not even sure they should put them out in advance. We used to turn up at a game, get a programme, and it's Fred Lindell today.
Yeah, who's bothered?
But nobody said, I've got 3 days to slag off a referee before the game. It didn't even happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how you stop this, but I think, again, we've got to be honest and say that for example, I don't, because I don't follow the appointments, I don't know the answer to this question. Has Robert Hicks refereed St Helens since he was criticised by
I don't know. And again, that comes back to his point. With the greatest will in the world. $3 to Eamon McManus who's just built a new stadium.
But irrespective of that,
punishment.
Has he been appointed to a St Helens game?
I don't know, but my point is if he'd have been fined $50,000, he might have actually put out a wholehearted apology. I don't know.
Here's the Challenge Cup draw.
Go on.
Before the draw started, I wanted Wakefield to get a club that never played before, and hey, I've got my wish.
Yes.
Wakefield Trinity versus Bradford Bulls. So what we're going to that. Widnes Vikings versus Swinton Lions. Sheffield Eagles Workington Town. Newcastle Thunder versus Whitehaven or Dewsbury. Featherstone Rovers versus Hunslet, Toronto versus Huddersfield. To be played at somewhere we don't know. Hull KR Lee, which will be a good game. I hope that gets on the telly, and York versus Rochdale. So there you go.
Two big ties there.
Yeah. Wakefield Bradford one will be on the telly.
Of course it will, because of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Just an update on our Twitter.
Watch it on the telly.
On our Twitter polls.
I think I do.
We asked after 4 rounds of Super League, which club will be most worried about relegation? 51% say Toronto, Hull KR 33, Wakefield 13, A&O 3. And we also said, assuming Saints, Wigan and Warrington make the top 5, which club most likely to join them? Apologies to Leeds, I didn't put you on the list. Hull 43%, Castleford 34, early season leaders Huddersfield 14 and Catalans 9.
Oh, Rob Hicks refereed the Lou McCarthy Scarsburg testimonial. That doesn't count.
No,
we're not having that. So we go back to Ian Watson's point and say, sorry Marcus, someone said you're not good enough, son. So what we're going to do, we're going to put you in the Champion. We're going to give you some good mention. You can't referee in Super League anymore. How many other coaches have said he's not good enough to referee here? And all of a sudden you've got Robert Hicks and whoever else, Chris Kendall seems to be the man at the minute. I think he's doing all right. I thought he had a good game the other night again.
Great. And it wasn't an issue. It was it was just a game to enjoy.
This is a point that because I don't go as a fan really anymore. I was amazed just how vitriolic I just thought I can't comprehend how rubbish
something's changed.
And I've said on Twitter before,
it's called
the
society.
sooner you forget about the referee, the more you'll enjoy your game. Now, those people have gone home. I'm going home thinking, bloody hell, Wigan played really well. Yes, great defence. Attack looked all right. Don Manfredi's come back. Sam Powell had a good game. Bevan French looks like the most exciting player we've got in the competition. I'm thinking, wow, yeah. And all I can think about that woman moaning about the referee, and I'm thinking, what are you doing? Why? Stop it!
Everyone's allowed an opinion these days, aren't they?
But it's also down to the clubs to police that.
Yeah, I agree. And it was amazing how many people on Twitter yesterday said, I know who that is, and I agree with what you say. It's just
and in which case, the club knows who it is.
Yeah.
I guarantee they'll know who it is.
Yeah.
There's CCTV throughout the entire crowd. They have to do something.
Well done, by the way, to Cass and Wakey.
I saw that this morning. Three players have been? Please, can you identify? 3 fans. Please, can you identify those people?
But the image, the quality of the image, the one that I saw Wakey text out this afternoon was, "You've been got, mate." But taking a smoke bomb to a game, please.
Why do people do it?
Don't bother. Do you go down the pub and take one win? Just get in the pub. No, so don't do it at the rugby.
What it is,
being like a moron.
They've seen Galatasaray on the telly and they think we're going to be like them. But forgetting that you're not actually in a big stadium in Turkey or Germany or wherever. You're at Cass.
With a wooden stand.
And you look like a complete moron. No, we'll go Tosser. We'll go Tosser instead. You're not adding to the atmosphere. You think you are, but you're not. These are my views, by the way. My views only. For pointing this out. Why are you doing it? What if someone's got severe asthma? What if someone's got post-traumatic stress disorder? They're in the war or something.
Exactly.
They've been in Afghanistan.
It's just needless.
But why would you think of doing something like that anyway?
Because you're an idiot.
I'll just get me
Because you like fireworks.
I'll get me smoke.
These are the kind of idiots who spend 250 quid at bonfire night to blow up some fireworks in the back garden and go, "Ooh, that's shiny," because they're thick. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, if that guy's listening, tell us who you are so we can block you.
I just don't see the point.
You're an idiot.
Because all it does in the end, it damages the clubs they
Exactly. Who's going to end up getting fired? Who's going to end up getting done? Wake you.
Oh, because set a firework off. Oh, great. No, you're an idiot.
Yes. Yeah, well,
go watch football.
That's enough. That's enough. So overall, then we've discussed the Leeds game. Leeds worthy of the win.
Yeah, played very well in the second half. But again, I think temper what Huddersfield are doing at the moment, what Leeds are doing at the moment. They're played teams that currently are towards the bottom of the division.
Yeah.
Bigger test comes for Leeds on Friday night when they've got Warrington.
I think Leeds.
But they're solid.
Will be challenging for that 5th spot.
Yeah, I think they've got a chance.
I think they will do well. I think the only problem I'd have, and we saw it on game day 1, is when they face a big pack. I'm not quite sure they've got the beef to go toe to toe.
No, they have. When they play packs of a similar size, they're okay. and they're going to play rugby this year.
Oh,
If they had an issue in the first half, they tried to play too much rugby in the wrong conditions, but they clearly want to spread the ball.
Well, the best one in the world, you don't have Rob Louis and Luke Gale in your team if you're not going to throw it about.
And they've got Harry Newman is, at the moment, the form centre.
Yeah,
You know, as a young kid who's just literally turned 20 this week, he looks a sensation. And I know we don't have too many centres who are England qualified. I know it's very too early to be talking about what he might turn into, but he is a 2021 World Cup possible England centre.
I know we've seen him. He was in last year, but he came to my note when he had against Saints, and he had a run in. I don't know who it was with. Was it Zebtay? Might have been, or Peru.
Could have been.
One of them. He had a run in with one of them, and it kicked off a bit. And he kept coming, and I thought, yeah, there's a player.
He's got it. He's filled out over the pre-season as well, and he made so many metres in very difficult conditions. He's one to watch.
Yeah. Here's John. And a dig at a wooden stand. Nice one, guys. It wasn't a dig.
Why did you say about that?
No, I've got a wooden stand.
It does.
Sorry for telling the truth.
It's a fact. There's a reason you can't smoke in that stand, John. A very good one, as we know.
By the way, what is happening with Castleford's ground? Worrying stories this week that isn't going to happen. But it wasn't a story.
No, because nothing's happened for the last 5 years or whatever. So nothing's happened since Richard Wright was on a digger 20 years ago. So I don't see why it was a story last week. As I said on this programme before, Wakefield and Castleford haven't had the luxury of either having a football club in their town that need a stadium or city, or a big Tesco or Sainsbury's needing to be built. They haven't had that luxury that other clubs have had. Those clubs forget that at times.
And I know we all want brand new shiny stadiums. I go to a brand new shiny stadium pretty much every week football. There's some soulless places. Warrington have got a nice new stadium that is making them money now. St Helens have got the same.
Is good.
Yeah,
and the
St Helens is the same.
At St Helens.
St Helens. If Wakey and Orcas had a stadium like Warrington, that'd be perfect for what they need. Salford have got a new stadium. They don't own it. It doesn't do them any good.
No.
So
£7 a park.
So the fact is, if you have invested in your stadium like Warrington have done and like St Helens have done, they get bigger crowds, they get more corporate income, and that allows them to sign better players. And they can keep
all of the beer and ancillary sales.
So there are benefits to having a nice shiny new stadium as long as you own it. If people choose not to go to Castle Wakey because they don't like the ground, that impacts on Castle Wakey in that respect.
I think, again,
they don't have the same corporate levels of income.
That's the thing. The thing for Cass in particular is that they cannot get enough revenue from the corporate side where they could double or probably triple the amount of people that would go and take corporate clients, or would have a day out if it's a birthday or an anniversary, because they haven't got the space. Now, whenever they can't generate that income, at some point that will have an impact on their ability to keep spending money.
And I can't remember, it feels forever since Saints played at Knowsley Road. It's not that long ago. They don't get more crowds now. They've got a nice shiny new stadium.
They get bigger. They get bigger.
But
Warrington get bigger. Hull get bigger.
Is that not because they're bigger teams now?
I think it's partly because more away fans are prepared to go because the facilities are better.
Well, there were no away fans at Warrington. I think they've still got a bigger crowd. It's not just about away fans, is it?
No, I think more away fans are.
My point is, right, serious question here. We'll ask our Wakefield correspondent. Right, I've just built a 10,000 new seater stadium at Waking. Are they going to get?
Cheers, Rodney.
Are they going to get more fans? I don't think they will. I think they've got.
Yeah, I think they will. It might not go up double or treble, but yes, I think by having a better facility, more people will go. Right. Ultimately, it comes down to how good your team is. But I think what will happen is that it's more of an event and a day out. If you can.
I just think if you haven't got a nice stadium,
toilet,
you get punished in other ways. I think people shouldn't be Super League because they've got a stadium. You go down a very sticky track there, you'll have a 6-team Super League.
But with the greatest respect to our learned friend at the end here, I do know people that will not go to Wakefield because it's not the kind of environment where they want to stand out for a couple of hours, not be able to see the game, not be able to go to the toilet.
I know people that won't go to Leeds because it's open and you can't buy your car.
There are bits of it that They could go. No, well, the car parking is really interesting because that is something that needs to be built into any new stadium.
They should have built a multi-storey.
I don't. Where would they have built that?
Can't they just get rid of a few of them students and knock some houses?
Well, I think
down?
they've tried.
Have they?
All the students.
You get rid of them all.
I think Mr. Caddick has made an offer to every house behind the Western Terrace, which are all student houses.
Very good. Very good. No, it's. I
I think it does have
an
an impact, but I think you have to be honest as well. And so the reason we mentioned a wooden stand is because in this day and age, on the back of things like the Bradford fire, which led to the Taylor report, which completely changed configurations of stadia and what was required, we have to acknowledge that in this day and age, irrespective of the atmosphere generated,
here's one for you.
It's not.
Here's a legitimate thing. If you were to turn around and go, right, we've got a franchising, lads, so Waking Cash, you're in. Would they then, because they would have a guaranteed level of income, should we get a new TV deal, be able to go to the bank and say, well, we probably just need to put a new stand up here. Might cost us 3 mil or 5 mil or whatever it is, rather than build a new ground. You think that might be the way that they go?
I've always thought of Cass, that turning the ground round, and using the training pitch, to increase the capacity and still retain that feel of Weldon Road as was. It would be a great way to do it. Now, I don't know if there are planning or logistical reasons why you can't, or economic reasons, but they are one of the teams that actually. The trouble for Wakefield is they don't have much land around the ground, so you're limited to what you can do.
Yeah, but they could if they, and I think I'm sure. Are the plans not that they're going to build a big new stand there?
I don't know. I've not seen them.
I think that there is an issue for Wakefield with parking.
Oh yes,
there is a very limited amount of land. But if you build a new stadium, you want to also include the ability for people to come and bring their cars. And ideally, you want a railway station at the side of it and encourage public transport.
Yeah, want HS2 to stop at Bellevue.
Yeah. Jump out.
The home of Rugby League in the north.
Cass have got a lot of land.
Yeah.
Or it's
sufficient. The railway track, you can jump off the train when it's going past.
One thing Cass have, and one thing that Wakefield have, which Wigan and Saint and Warrington and whoever probably don't have. I don't know. Wigan certainly don't, and Hull FC don't. But they own their own ground. You know, Wigan don't. Hull FC don't.
What? Seriously now? Oh, I can't ask him. He works for the club. Do you reckon now, if the council turned around to Cass and Wake and went, right, this is it, we're building it now. The digger is ready to go. We've got some petrol, diesel in it. We're going to start.
You might as well tell me John Alamu's saying, because I don't believe it.
No, but do you think they would play in the same stadium?
I think it's coming to the time, purely economically, where if you want council support for something, that has to happen.
The problem is,
because if we're being,
the problem is you are forgetting there are 3 teams in the Wakefield Council area.
But if we're being,
Fev don't need it. Fev's got the best ground.
No, but they'll not getting
if we're being really honest with the state of funding to local councils, there is no council anywhere that could afford 2 stadia.
Yeah.
But if you could get all the parties around the table and say, look, we've tried everything we can. The level of funding is not there for 2, and it's not going to be. We've got different owners, we've got different requirements, we've got different retail partners, but there isn't enough to bring to the table to get either of these 2 schemes started. What we can do is we, as a council, can donate some land that's midway between the 2. We can put some money into making sure that...
well, I mean, I'm waiting for the government, because now Wakefield's turned blue, obviously everything's going to change and it'll be all great now.
And if you don't like it...
and unicorns and
but if you don't think it's going to work, go to Milan, go to Rome. If it works...
No, I can't go to Italy in a minute because I want to cancel some of the Pro 14 games.
My mate was gutted because he was supposed to go to Barcelona to a mobile phone...
rocket then.
No, mobile phone, I forget what the word is.
Conference?
Convention, where they're all showing but he said that it got postponed because there were a lot of Chinese visitors planned and they didn't wish to put a health risk at, well, we know how it is. It's getting quite serious.
But yes, I don't know if the current generation of fans would not sanction sharing a stadium, but the decision that you make on sharing a stadium is for the next generation of fans.
Yeah.
Where, I said we've had this conversation before. When I was growing up, 1895, the two most intimidating grounds I ever went to as an away fan were the Boulevard and Wilderspool. And if you'd have told me then that neither of those grounds would exist, but both clubs would go on and prosper, I wouldn't have believed you.
Yeah, but they have done.
But they have.
Yeah, exactly. Right, let's talk about what's happened on the field then. We will stick with that game. Castleford 32, Wakefield 15. Wakefield, all right in the first half, I thought, but Cass turned it around second half, and to be fair, were good value. 2 in the sin bin for Wakefield didn't help. Injuries.
Was a second half.
Injuries didn't help. Joe Rundle, ACL.
Yeah, he's after the season. Yeah,
and Ryan Hampshire's fractured his jaw.
One of those players who you miss when they're not there because they do lots of work.
Yeah.
So that's a shame. And Hampshire obviously just moved back into the half-back role. So it'll be interesting to see what happens at the weekend. Who will be alongside Jacob Miller? Although
have you got any vision and awareness, Rich?
Not much.
Well,
Chris
you might be in. You're on the list.
Chris Chester said he was going to have to look at the reserves, and they beat Widnes on Sunday morning. So maybe Connor Bailey, who scored a hat-trick, maybe he'll come into contention. I don't know. It might be too early for him. It'd be interesting to see who moves around. You might just have Miller alongside someone directing traffic. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. And Tom Johnston scored.
Oh, hell of a try.
Yeah.
I watched it. I was on the telly and I still didn't think he scored when I watched it again.
I know that after the try was scored, there was certainly one tweet from the social media site that is controlled by the game and its sponsor. Should we not have flooded?
Well, I sent a tweet out and it says, I'd like to see Mo Salah do that. But I think they should have been on his thing.
The other week, there was a tweet that seemed to go viral about a bowls match.
All right.
Yeah,
where somebody bowled the most ridiculous ball that went between 6 other
balls.
And
you've got about that much, and he got it straight between.
And everybody was commenting on it who knew nothing about bowling. We were suddenly all experts and sharing a tweet about us. Should we not have flooded social media with what Tom Johnston did?
Well, yeah.
And shown it from 64 different angles and, had people going, how the hell has this happened?
Yeah.
We don't make the most of it. That if you want to promote personalities and what this sport's about, that should have been everywhere.
One of our broadcast partners would be in a scene in the middle, at the end actually, not in the middle. BCB.
I thought it was Children's BC.
Bradford Community Broadcasting, one of the key broadcast partners of Rugby League.
Finish
the
that.
BBC.
No, I'm going to be
BBC. I'll listen in a minute. The BBC. So on their website, they put on videos all the time. So the other day, really good.
You eat
it's
that.
like a picture. Isn't it? The other day they had the video. Who's the Irish fella, the kicker? Sexton missing in front of the post, despite the fact that the Twickenham crowd were quiet because they respect the kicker in rugby union because they're all,
He's never been the same since Bono went in and.
Well, he's crap. When was the last time Bono do anything good?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, the Irish defending yesterday, I was out and it was on the telly. I thought...
You watched the rugby union?
It was like watching Scott Griggs. Twice! Just kick the ball out, you morons.
You morons.
Well, he wanted the one time you don't England to win is when it's that lot. And useless. They put highlights on the BBC website anyway, and I could see your man Sexton missing the kick. And they have like the best women's Super League goals of all time. And they have this and that and the other. But where is Tom Johnston's try? They put basketball up there all the time. No one gives a toss about basketball in this country.
I just think we need to find a way of getting it out there.
Yeah.
And if we had, that would have gone viral. And it would have been seen worldwide. And even, NRL players would have been going, hey, who's this guy that we might be coming up with? Except
wait a minute, where's he? I've never heard of him.
Here's the last 5 audio and video clips on the BBC website. Podcast with Phil Vevers. The World Series talking about Izzy Folau. Anthony Mullally talking about being a vegan. A podcast with Eddie and Lamb. Someone from the North Wales Crusaders scoring a try.
Well, sometimes we are our own worst enemies.
That's the point.
There you go.
It's all right.
So Castleford deserved winners.
No,
not yet. We'll do now.
We move it then.
Yeah.
Cass, we have consistently underestimated so far.
Well, I said they'd be in the bottom 4, and I got hammered after 2 weeks. Then everyone went quiet last week when they got beat, and then I thought, I thought, here we go, I'm in again here, and then
it's a good response. It's good. What about
Good
Wakefield? Start. Wakefield have now got another 2 injuries. Chris Chester clearly upset with the way his team played. Now, there's a guy who didn't blame the referee. Had 2 players sin bin and actually talked about the indiscipline of his own team.
Yeah, cheat better.
Yeah.
But they've lost another 2 players who clearly would have started this week, and they're at Salford. Is this a make or break game for Wakefield, Rich? I know it's early in the season, but
A club spokesman said.
Are Wakefield nearly in crisis?
Not quite in crisis.
No,
they've got a few of their big lads coming back, and they need them.
But
back.
how quickly do they need to get them back?
Well, I think they need some back this week. The one worry I have for Wakefield,
I think a couple played in the reserve yesterday, so they're always again.
is when they're good, they're good. When they're bad, they're really bad. And that's the worry I have. You look at that performance at OKR, apparently they were awful. You look at that second half,
half was
absolutely
shocking.
awful. So,
which is not to detract from Castleford, who were
Castle were
very
good.
well.
Castle Castle were alright. Castle were fine. Actually, what Wakey do need to sort out is their edge defending. I mean, I'm no coach, but crikey, every time they passed it, 2 passes they were going to score, weren't they? They do need to sort that out. I did mention that when Ben Crutz scored 4 tries on the opening night, that was a bit of a worry.
If I see the coaching staff tomorrow, I'll let them know.
Well, Alfred's has got 2, Claire's got 2. What does that, your 2 wingers have got 4 tries between them, what does that
And they couldn't shut McShane down, who was getting good service.
No, so...
And Ollie Holmes, podcasting's Ollie Holmes scored a try on
He
his
did.
200th appearance.
He did. Bit lucky, but he scored anyway. Well done, Ollie.
If only he'd scored that first one when he wasn't obstructed, it might have been a different end
Yes,
to the game. But
yeah,
it's strange how these things happen. Isn't
No, well done, Cass. Wakey, worrying. Who have they got after Salford?
it? They'll Toronto in a few weeks' time. Bear with Hull at home the week after, and then it's the Challenge Cup against them.
Yeah.
And then I have to go into March on my diary.
Well, Andy and Sue Kirk have been on. Cass first choice players returning. Yeah, they've got
so
a couple back this week.
Salford away,
They're
Hull
gonna
at
get
home,
better.
Bradford at home in the Cup, Toronto away, and then Wigan at home. That's
Toronto
March's
away in
fixtures.
York.
At York.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it fixture at the stadium? Is it Bill?
I don't know actually.
It's built. I don't know whether
It's not open.
habitable.
Is it? Not open. Not a big worry. Cass play Hull KR on Thursday.
Well, that's Hull came with no Robbie Mulhern.
Yeah, and Hull KR.
Cass bounced back well from that defeating
Yeah,
France, obviously. So
Cass beat Wigan. All right, Wigan
Yeah,
weren't
yeah.
great, but they beat Wigan.
Yeah.
That's a good 2 points sort of on the bank. So my bottom 4 prediction is looking really naff at this point, but there's a long way to go.
Yeah.
Hull KR 4, Huddersfield 22.
Again, very impressive from the Giants because they're not conceding many points. So it doesn't matter who you're playing and where they are.
Conceded 26 in 3 games.
Which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Compared to previous years, that is a team that seems very together.
My understanding is they were very disappointed they didn't play Leeds. They wanted to take it to Leeds.
I'm sure, and I think they probably would have done. But again, I think you look at who Huddersfield have beaten, and they are teams that are grouped towards. That was the performance of round 1. But Wigan this week, that's the test of where Huddersfield. But top of the league after having played 1 game less than everybody else, that says something.
to say they lost one of their key signings in pre-season as well in Ashton Golding.
Yeah.
They've not missed it. I know he was.
They've got around it, haven't they?
I think James Gavett was seriously injured. Fortunately, word coming back is
He's all right.
not as serious as it looked at the time, which is great. But it's not just about Aidan Caesar. Clearly, he is giving them direction and the ability to score points. But if you're only conceding 26 in 3 games, that's more than having a great scrum half. Yeah. That's belief in the systems. That's getting the players that the coach wants rather than the players that the coach has inherited. That's the style of the coach starting to come over to
They seem
players.
to me, Phil, they've got a style of how they play with the ball and a style without it.
Yeah.
And that is going to get them a long way, I think.
And I think we said as well that they're younger players, they're a year more experienced, having what they went through last year, coming so close to a relegation, that will actually stand them in good stead.
Another 2 tries for Lewis Senior, going well.
I still think in terms of the squad, they're a bit light on numbers.
Yeah.
A couple of big injuries would hurt them. But there are teams that do go through a season without getting injuries.
Did it last year.
And Huddersfield could be this year's Salford.
They're going to be in the grand final. Are we going early? We're going Huddersfield.
We're going early, but I think They've clearly got a very good player in Caesar that will get them so far if they can keep him on the field.
Well, it'd be really interesting against Wigan this week because that
will be a test.
Wigan will
good
target
on Sunday.
Caesar. They're playing well. We'll know how good Huddersfield are this week.
Yeah, we'll find out. But Wigan were good against Hull. We'll talk about that game. Was there yesterday? Bevan French a try. Don Manfredi back on the score sheet, and then 2 late tries wrapped it up. Hull scored an interception try just before half time, and a try from a simple missed tackle from Zach Hardick in the second half. They created nothing.
2 weeks running.
And this is where I talk about style of play. Caesar comes in, Huddersfield have got a style of play that they'll play, and then everyone knows what they're doing. I'm not sure anyone knows what they're doing at Hull. Shaw, fullback, Connor, Sneed at halfback, Danny Houghton, those have all been there 2 years now at the club.
A long time.
And yesterday they looked like they didn't know who each other were, and that worries me for Hull.
Would you bring back Albert Kelly?
Yeah, I mean, I asked Lee about it, and I said, "Have you got a decision to make?" He said, "Well, if I have, I won't be telling you," which is fair enough. But if he, and I think I said this before a ball started, that he was the worry, Connor. And you know what? I even think by giving him the number 6 shirt, you've taken away, I'm going to say 40% of his game, because I think Connor with something to prove is a different animal to Connor. He was defensively at fault for the first try, and this is when I said I watched the game with Cookie.
Yeah.
And you watch him walk back, and it were like he'd just walking for a paper on a Sunday morning. There was he might have been really bothered inside, but he didn't show he was bothered. And I think that rubs some people up the wrong way.
My worry for him, as it has been in his career, is not that he has innate natural talent. He clearly does.
Yeah, he does.
So he can't do it every week.
Yeah.
So week 1, he was one of the best players on that pitch. Yeah. And Hull clicked.
Yeah.
And he was almost untouchable. We're now into round 4, and for the last 2 weeks in particular, he's gone missing.
Well, the last 2 weeks.
So he has to put
I've actually seen all of the Hull games so far, and they were. I've seen 3 of them live. One I watched the derby on the telly, but I watched when they played Hull KR. I watched them at Saints last week
against Leeds in the first.
Yeah. He looked like a man who didn't know when to pass the ball. He kept getting tackled in possession. And yesterday, I never saw him on the ball. He just didn't. He made a couple of good tackles on his own line at the end of the first half, in fairness to him. And you think, right, go on, kick. You want him to do well, but it's not happening for him.
Need him to do well.
It's not happening for him at the minute. And I think now you've given him what he wanted, he's got nothing. He don't want anything else. And I think, you know what? If I'm Lee Radford, I won't pick him next week. Just to try and kick him up the backside.
The pack is good if everyone's fitting out there. It's big and horrible, just what you want. Your outside backs are really good.
Yeah. Josh Griffin yesterday was absolutely outstanding.
How do you get the ball to?
Yeah.
You've got the 2 components that are going to win you the game. But the most important bit is how do you marry those 2 up?
Sneed didn't have a great game yesterday. Sneed should be in that team, just kicking and directing. It's not up to him to do all the playmaking, I don't think. I don't think that's his game.
I'm not even sure he can. I think he
can.
His ability is to take that team around, play off the back of big guys.
Yeah.
The stuff outside him that gets the ball to Griffin more regularly and in space, that's somebody else's job.
I just think the spine of their team isn't working. And I don't know why it ain't working, because it's not like they've just found a bloke in the NRL and gone, oh yeah, we'll get him in and say, it'll take him 2 months to settle in. Those players should know what they're doing. And alright, they've played Saints at home. I think Saints were great, to be fair. Wigan were very good yesterday. So Hull could have played great and still lost yesterday.
Yeah.
But the fact's are they didn't play really well. And that, to me, is a problem. And they've got, is it Catalan this week?
Yeah.
If they lose on Sunday to Catalan, they are in a little bit of trouble. Look, this is going from game 1 thinking they did look like world beaters. And they'll have Sate back this week, but I don't think Mao will play, so just a little bit worried about them.
Liam says Connor is not a 6. Everybody except Connor knows this, and he's got Radford over a barrel. Play me or lose me. Where's he going to go? Where's your? At least I've got that £500,000.
Yeah.
Has that gone elsewhere then?
I think that may well have gone elsewhere.
Tim says stop calling people edges and middles. So there you go. KPW81 wants to know what's happening with the Man of Steel voting. They don't send the emails through anymore. Unless they just
It'll go on social media.
So no idea.
I think it was Tuesday morning it went up on
Yeah.
social media last week.
So don't know what's going on. They had the big launch last week. We weren't there because we were here. So if we'd have been there,
We would have gone. But
yeah. When Robert Elson comes in, we'll ask him. He's in charge of it.
We will.
Say,
do you want him to come?
first question, Robert.
Yeah, they want him to come on. Yeah, they want him to come on.
First
I
question,
think he
Robert.
should
What's
come
going on
on.
with Man of Steel?
I'll send him an email.
Yeah, I've asked his mum. You send him an email, I'll see him coming.
He ignores me.
Well.
So it's still going on, but you just have to keep an eye on social media because they don't send it to us anymore to reveal at 7 o'clock. Not that we were supposed to. Well, no, we didn't break any embargoes unlike others. So
No.
we're on that one.
But again, it would make sense to send it to people at 7 o'clock on a Monday evening who perhaps could talk about it and spread the word.
Yeah.
Or why don't they do it exclusively on their programme?
Yeah.
Because they've got their own TV programme.
Yeah.
Which the viewing figures have gone up for, which is good.
Yeah.
Why don't they do it on that programme as an extra feature to say people watch our programme? Look.
First time you'll hear.
Yeah. We've got Sean Wayne on our programme this week before he was going to be on another programme next week.
Yeah.
Buggers, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah.
Any other interaction? Well, there is. Like
Yes,
I say, loads of it.
stop calling people edges.
I didn't they call anyone an edge?
Yeah, you said Wakefield's edge defence.
Oh, yeah. Well, all right. The centres and the wingers then. Crikey.
Tim's on. He's I think he's trying to be a legend. He says, "One thing's for sure, from our point of view, Huddersfield will win the treble. I can reassure you." John
What else
Preston.
they do?
That is what he'd
Well,
say if he was here, to be honest.
Yeah. Simon
No,
Wolford, fan
real
of the
deal.
show.
Real
Fan of the
deal.
show.
Yeah. Jason says top sides 1, 6 and 7 can all create. Hulls 1 and 7 don't have a passing game. And he says dead right mark, Connor a centre, not a half.
Do they need him in the centre?
Well, Tumavava didn't play yesterday, but I don't know why. I don't know if he was injured or
He started the season,
Yeah.
and Griffin clearly is.
You know what I don't think's helped them, Mahe Fanua coming in.
No.
Because I think they've done their recruitment and then he's become available and they've got him. And call me a sceptic, right? But he don't look fit to me. I mean, he's he's amazingly strong in a tackle. But you know what? They've gone away, won 2 Challenge Cup. We'll get him back. The fans will love it. I don't know if they needed him.
They didn't.
If they're going to spend all that money on him, dare I say it, I'd have gone out and spent all that money and got an half back, a good one.
Consistently inconsistent Hull FC.
Yeah, because
They were
in a
great
month
the
we
first
might be
week,
saying,
weren't they?
yeah, well, they played
Absolutely.
one of the
Back
last
to
3
down,
games are great, but
No knee-jerk reaction.
I didn't like how I'd not liked how the last 2 weeks they have stumped the place.
Against 2 of the better teams who they're going to have to beat at some stage if they're ever going to get to Old Trafford and win the tournament.
You want to be pitching at the top, not the 2 points off top. And if Huddersfield lose this week, they may well be 2 points off top having played the same number of games. So.
I love the fact because I've muted certain people that I know what people are tweeting about even when I can't see it. Les has been on. Well, I just know what that tweet's about. Even if it says this tweet is unavailable, I know what that tweet's about. I know what TV program's talking about. Les says, you made Rovers, this is you, directed you, Mark Wilson Radio. You made Rovers at the end of last season as nailed on for relegation. This season, think you would love it if we did go down. You'd love it. Love it.
Love it.
I'm telling you now, Alex Ferguson.
We don't
quiet.
love or hate anyone more than anybody else. We are fans of the sport.
I'm full of credit for Neil Udgell and what he's done for that club and the money he puts into that club.
I'll wait for the word however.
However, it didn't take a rocket scientist to see from their recruitment at the end of last season and in the winter, it has. I've got a train of thought on this, right? They're either taking a huge gamble. Tony Smith, and I know this to be true, felt the team he inherited, they weren't mobile enough, they weren't athletic enough.
They weren't resilient enough.
And he had half his team couldn't train, so how can you practice when half your team can't train? So he made a conscious effort to get athletes in, which he's done, and he's signed some good, like Harvey Livett, people like that, that can get around the field, play big minutes. So they've made a conscious decision to go down that route. They've signed a lot of youngsters from Bradford, 2 of whom have started off really well, and if Rovers survive, may well go on to be very good Super League players for Hull Kingston Rovers. The gamble they are taking is that there's not enough quality, and they've already picked up a few injuries.
Yes. Now Matt Parcell's out with ankle ligament.
So the problem is their squad that I didn't feel he didn't have enough really good players in. He had a lot of okay players in, but not really good players. And I just think they're going to struggle. Why would I love it if why do I want them to go down any more than Salford or Wakefield or Catalans or Trot? I couldn't care less. I don't support any of those clubs. I don't support anyone in the Super League, so I'm not bothered who gets.
We need to get onto the bookies because there is precedent at Hull KR when the going gets tough. People in senior management roles get their boots back on. When's Maguire going to play again?
Well, that ain't going to happen.
Why not?
But and again, if you're going to be critical, they appointed Jamie Peacock, and with the best one, it didn't work. What they wanted to do, it didn't happen, and Jamie's left the club, and I think that's an admittance in itself. It hasn't worked out. They've gone now with Danny. Who can argue with his playing record? You can't argue with his playing record. I'd argue he probably still should be playing now when you look at some of the players they've brought in. He isn't playing now. But what makes him going to be the great player, player recruitment? So look at the recruitment, and was it Les? Yeah. Look, Les, I said last year, if you didn't go down last year, you go down this year because of your recruitment. I look at what Hull do, right? Hull KR needs to become the biggest club in their own city, let alone worrying about Super League.
I think they took a hell of a risk as well in the knowledge that one of the most experienced halfbacks was retiring.
Yeah.
And that was announced early on. And I know that they weren't securing their Super League future until late in the season. But that to me should have said, yeah, we may well get 20 players in, but one of the players we're going to get is an experienced halfback. Now, I know that they don't grow on trees, but
no.
Let's say, for example, would a Kevin Brown work at Hull KR at the moment? It's just somebody experienced to direct them around. With young athletic players.
My point when I made it is they've gambled by going down the young, inexperienced but mobile route.
But should they have identified one position and said,
I think they should,
we need a half?
But they might. Tony Smith, let's be fair, Hodges spent the money.
Yeah.
So,
no, 20 players.
He's not like he's gone, he's gone, there's the money, do it with it what you want. If they survive, they may well then kick on because they'll have some young players that have had a lot of game time, and then they might start going, right, we want to be more selective with our bigger money signings.
I also think they want to play a certain style of play.
Yeah.
Which isn't suited to these conditions at this time of the season. So
I also think they want to play a certain style of play because they ain't got a big enough pack.
Yeah, but a young, fast, athletic team on a fast ground in the middle of summer will cause more problems than it will. I think you saw it against Fulham.
They came out and that try they scored was unbelievable. Yeah. That is what Tony Smith wants to play like. Absolutely. But sadly, when you play like that, you make a lot more errors because they aren't 5 drives and a kick. They'll lob it around and see where it gets us, and sometimes it'll get you into trouble.
But I think
won one game. I just think, from what I understand, Wakey were that bad on the opening night of the season. Had they not been that bad, you'd be looking at them having lost 4 out of 4, and people are pointing, look at Toronto. Yeah, but Toronto have played Wigan away, Warrington away.
And Toronto's quality of player is getting better each week.
Yeah,
there's a progression.
It's the old perception, isn't it? They may well end up on the same points. Well, from where Toronto look like they are, that would be a success for them.
I also think that the part of the problem at Hull KR is that some of the names that they needed to be out there to bring on these younger players are the ones that have been injured. So they needed Mitch Garber out there every week because he is the man to get them going forward. They can't really afford Robbie Mulhern to be banned this week because if Garber isn't back, there is a lack of go forward. They can't afford to not have Matt Parcell now, having waited for him to come back. If he has done his ankle ligaments, and that's 3-4 weeks best.
Well, you talk about injuries. You mentioned Rusford. Hull KR couldn't have had a worse start injury-wise.
No,
but Jamie Ellis being out injured, Abdul injured. Obviously, Mossam, we saw a tragic thing that happened to him. Garbutt's knee's not right. We know that. A lot of injury doubts there.
And the guys that they were going to be the glue that held those changes together are the ones that are getting injured. So it's an imperfect storm for Hull KR.
It is. They've been very unlucky with injuries. Very unlucky.
But that doesn't mean that we think they should go down, or we want them to go down, or I actually have a hell of a lot of time for Tony Smith.
Yeah. And for the record, Les, I don't think anyone will get relegated anyway. So that's just
14 teams, super.
That's what I think. Gets rid of Luke games, suits everyone.
See the tweet of the week in League Express this week was won by the head of the Players Union.
Mr. Carvel.
Yeah, he's been busy promoting boxing, but there you go. There are too many games. That's why the quality isn't always there. Players have 5 to 6 weeks pre-season and back into the season. Players can't have surgery or miss games if they do. Playing at that level knocks the stuffing out of you. Proper prep and rest each year is essential. And I say it again, the Players' Union, stand up.
To be fair, if that was the NRL Players' Union, they would be going on strike.
Stand up. Don't just send tweets out. Don't just, reply to people on social media. Do something about it. The players, if they aren't there, we don't have a game. If we don't have the refs, we don't have a game. So if the refs aren't happy, say you'll take your labour away. The players can do the same thing.
Yeah, they can. You're right.
It's all right, whinging about stuff like I do, but I have no relevance in this sport. You do. So use your power, use your status for good for everyone. Well, don't bother. That's on the same page as the exclusive interview with Izzy Folau, which is a complete and utter waste of ink. So he's, what's it like being in France, Izzy? Oh, it's lovely. Cheers, Izzy. Thanks for coming. Waste of space. I shouldn't say things like that, should I?
No, you got to be honest.
There you go. And that's not a knock on him, the person, the player. It's a waste of time even saying, we've got an interview with him. But he's not saying anything. And you're not asking him anything. So don't bother.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Oh, Chris is trying to play Cass at home, Norway. Well,
but
fair enough. Fair point. They play Saints home this week at Warrington. I'm going.
Yeah.
Looking forward.
Is that Friday night or Saturday? Saturday.
Is it Saturday or Sunday? Saturday evening, 6 o'clock.
Oh,
we'll
do on telly.
Predictions. We'll do predictions later. Did we go
do
through
it.
every game?
I think we have done.
Do you want to do a bit more on Saints?
Yeah, go on. And you were there. You can tell us all about it. I were a couple of pints in the pub.
I thought Saints were magnificent. I thought they played absolutely superbly to be in the game for so long.
Yeah.
Because even though there is an absolute ruthlessness about the Roosters, who could well go down as one of the all-time great teams, I don't think we'll know how good this Roosters team are for another few years when we look back and go, they dominated a competition that couldn't be dominated. And the fact that they had a new scrum half and it didn't look like they'd missed a beat, they were magnificent. But Saints stayed with them virtually for the entire game. James Roby coming back was important, but he couldn't play. But you could tell that he was coming back from injury. He didn't do big minutes. So that put a lot of onus on some younger players, and the way they stood up to their Aussies. Easy thing to say. I think Saints would have beaten quite a few NRL teams on Saturday night. I think they came up against an exceptional team who, when it really mattered, executed the big plays. And it was a bit like watching England or Great Britain, that Saints did make enough chances to win, but if you make 3 chances and don't take them, you are going to get beaten against the very best in them. It's a bit like England and Wayne Bennett. Wayne Bennett was trying to eradicate the opportunities that the opposition get, whilst also showing that we still haven't got the players that when it really, really matters and you've got to take that opportunity, we don't have enough of them. There was half a chance for Tommy Makinson out wide, and he dropped the ball. Now, I wouldn't blame Tommy for that. I just think that was a rushed play to try and get the ball out to him. At certain points, we don't have the players that can take that option that is going to guarantee a score. Johnny Lomax was magnificent. We know he's made a fantastic start to the season, but even in that company, I think he looked like he had time, which all the great players do. Clearly, Walmsley and Thompson were excellent. But just a wonderful game. You could not take your eyes off the game. The speed of the game, the intensity in the defence.
Yeah.
I thought it was well refereed in that the players took centre stage. There were innumerable occasions when the referee could have stopped play. If there's that push and shove between Walmsley and Victor Radley. He just play on, and that's what we want. I thought the tries that the Roosters scored were beautifully created, which again, there's no real disappointment if you're conceding tries that are just brilliantly executed. Willie Manu is turning into the centre that scores the points when it really matters in the big games, and it was it put rugby league on a pedestal. I mean, I know there was a lot of other sport on this weekend, International Rugby Union, some big Premier League football matches, but that was up there as a spectacle, as an event, as two teams who were producing their absolute best to try and beat each other. Hats off to both. Both coaches were magnificent in the press conferences afterwards, stressed all the right things. I tweeted at the end of the game, and I still believe it, that should have been our opening match of the season. If you can start a season with something that good, in a sell-out stadium that people are taking notice of, and your competition goes on the back of that, rather than have your 3 weeks and then throw this in somewhere while all the other games are being played and then go back to playing league games straight after. Make that your starting point. People will argue all the time about whether the World Club Challenge should be at the end of the end of the previous season or the beginning of it. It is going to be at the beginning of the next season. Because both teams will tell you after a grand final they are busted.
I remember asking the guy that from the Cowboys.
Neither one nor other is going to fly halfway around the world.
We couldn't put a team out.
No, and that is our international window, and we've spoken a lot about how important the international game is. All of the players that win grand finals are eligible to play in the internationals because they're clearly at the peak of their game. So there are some coaches that won't coach their team in the World Club Challenge. There's some players that won't play in games that will have been germane to the success in getting there. I remember Gareth Ellis made his debut for Leeds in a World Club Challenge. He hadn't played for the team the year before. He just happened to make his debut. That's going to happen. You know, Kyle Flanagan made his debut for the Roosters in that game, and he was really important. But that is how we should start the season with the World Club Challenge.
When are we going to extend it to this 4 versus 4 thing?
Well, again, if we
like the World Club Series that lasted 2 years.
If we didn't have loop fixtures, we could look at doing something like that.
It comes out again. I've said it a million times. They've got to mirror the season.
Well,
now, even if we want to keep the Challenge Cup, which of course we would want to do, we'd have to start maybe a month earlier still, but play less league games in that.
And I also think that there is an idea now being germinated by the NRL that they can't expand a lot more in Australia. The most they could do is maybe put in one more team, and that will be in a few years. But they're almost at saturation point in terms of the money that they can get from TV companies, and also the number of cities that there are in Australia, the number of players that are playing. So they need to expand brand NRL. Now the way to do that maybe is to play showcase games in other parts of the world, a bit like the NFL do. So we should be talking to them about bringing State of Origin to London in 4 years' time. But one of the things you could do with an expanded World Club Challenge is you could bring 2 or 3 of certainly 2 of their teams over here, and they play in the World Club Challenge 1 week, and then they play each other in round 1 of their domestic.
You mean like Hull and Wigan did?
Yeah, play it here.
I agree.
There's all manner of options open that if you want to make the World Club Challenge something really special. And Saturday night was really special.
Yeah.
We need to absolutely exploit this property. Give it to Eddie Hearn.
Oh no, we can't talk about them anymore because we were told off last week. About Hearns again, too much. But there you go.
Anyway,
even though
I thought it was a fantastic night for rugby league.
Origin would sell out.
Of course it would. People say, "Oh, get any."
I tell you what, there'll be people in the north of England who wouldn't get a ticket because all the Antipodeans and expats would buy them if that game was at Wembley.
It would sell.
And you had 3 or 4 years to sell it.
Yeah,
you wouldn't get a ticket.
It would be.
How hard is it to get tickets to the NFL?
Yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah, but is it the 2 best teams?
No,
it's
Doggies, half of them.
But if you're bringing Queensland and New South Wales, you are bringing the creme de la creme.
Sign the merch. Tim says it didn't get on the news. I think it's unfair to compare it to the Women's World Cup because that is the Women's World Cup cricket. That's the top thing going on. It's unfair to compare it to that.
It may have had more chance of getting on the news if it was the only game we played this weekend.
And you can easily say, well, they sent those people out to Catlands the other week, didn't they? And you would be right. So then you need to contact Newswatch at the BBC and ask them why they did that and didn't do that. Once again, says Gary, Phil talks sense, will the RFL listen? They don't watch this programme, do they?
No.
I don't think they do anymore.
They watch my tweet. An NRL game in UK would be great for the profile of the game, says another Tim. Get it on terrestrial TV. And nice, you can so.
Yeah.
But again,
I wonder, going back to that, that's a good point. You think, oh, well, Sky wouldn't want it on TV, would they? But They probably would, because if you like it and you go, where can I watch this? Oh, it's on Sky. All right, okay, I might think about getting it then. I think that would work. I do think as a sport, we need to say to Sky, if we don't show all the games, can we have one that we can, and I don't mean put on the bloody hourly thing.
Or free sport.
No. Even if it's on, I want it available for everybody to watch. That's the way you'll get a buy-in. That's the way you'll get an audience. And I think I reckon that'd help Sky personally. But
if you didn't go and watch the Roosters play St Helens because it was a sellout and you couldn't get a ticket, or you thought maybe I've been to see my team this week and I can't afford to go to 2 games, or the weather wasn't right, but you knew that next weekend the Roosters were playing Melbourne, let's say at Ellen Road, because maybe they would go for a big stadium that would, and you'd known about that fixture a year in advance. Yeah. You might want to go.
So we almost did the World Club Series wrong, didn't we? Instead of having meaningless games between a team who finished second in the Super League and a team who finished second in the NRL, we just invited 2 good Australian teams over to play each other.
Well, why wouldn't you have, for example, Melbourne coming over to play Warrington, because Warrington won the Challenge Cup. Now again, knowing the way Warrington are marketing their games at the moment, that would have been a sellout of Warrington.
Yeah.
And if then you can, both of those teams have had a hit out, they then stay on and play a meaningful round 1 game here.
Yeah.
Everybody wins.
Yeah. I know we have listeners in Canada, by the way, who get and Canadian people have been very upset on social media for the past few weeks because their games haven't been on telly. I think they have to realise that yes, all your baseball games, all your basketball games are on telly in North America, but we ain't got that much money to do proper coverage of every single game. And here's the other thing, which people forget when they say every game should be on TV, and maybe they shouldn't, maybe they shouldn't. There's arguments for and against. Not every Premier League football match is shown live on TV in this country.
No.
Around the world they are, yes,
Yeah.
I know that. I'm fully aware of that. They've also got more money to send all the cameras there and everything. But not every Premier League football match is shown live on TV in this country. So why would you expect every single game to? Just because in the NRL, different country, different everything.
Yeah,
You
well,
have to remember, people think they've got a divine right to watch everything live on TV, and they haven't.
I also think there's something about the NRL, something that they do right that we need to think about as well, is their pre-season games are now all going to country areas or different countries.
Yeah.
They are expanding their market with matches that people are very grateful to see in the areas that they're taking. So the people of PNG that watch Canterbury and Cronulla this week, they don't really care that wasn't a game that counts for competition points. They absolutely mobbed the guys that had come over to there. And you know, a lot of the country areas that have had terrible fire damage, they're going to get an NRL game this weekend. But we need to do that. We need to look at, if we're going to have a pre-season game, you know, between I don't know, Leeds and Wakefield side, instead of we're playing it at Headingley, where can we take it where it's going to make a difference to the game?
Yeah, so it's a fair point, but I
Or
think we play that many games.
Double or a yeah, but if they're playing the games anyway, let's make some added value out of them.
Yeah. I think the Luke fixtures should go on the road, really.
Yeah.
I think, and we've mentioned this before.
I think the Luke fixtures should go.
Well, yeah, of course, we all do, but
on the road.
I think even if you said to the teams, right, you've got to play 1 game, you know, half of you will play 1 game on the road, and next year the other half will play a game on the road. I think that's
and
worth
that's
looking at.
what, for me, Robert Elston should be proposing to the clubs, or have the power to bring in, rather than. I heard him give that impassioned speech about the NRL have got to buy into this World Club concept now, and it's all Super League that are putting up the money. And I thought, I've heard that somewhere before. I went back to 2019 when the World Club Challenge was played between Wigan and Cronulla at the DW Stadium, and somebody called Robert Elston said, the NRL have really got to buy into this concept, and what's the word?
All-Stars game, would that work? Or that would just be England versus the X-Stars again, wouldn't it? Here. We don't have that. We don't have that history or culture of all-star fixtures, do we?
That worked because there is a real cultural reason to have that.
And we
game.
don't have that here.
And we don't have. No, that is one thing you cannot replicate. And full credit to the NRL and the clubs. I mean, there's not many of our clubs in pre-season would allow their best players to play for a representative team. 4 of them who played for the Indigenous have come back injured. The season hasn't even kicked off yet.
Yeah.
But the clubs have all released players.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Good stuff. Right.
Let's not go on to Yorkshire, Lancashire, because that's just...
No, it's not the same.
Any more for any more?
I don't think so, unless you want to start the... Well, it's prediction time, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Oh, gosh.
Prediction time.
How did we do? Have we got an updated team?
Yes.
Oh, good.
You had a good week because you predicted that Leeds would win by 14 points, and they did. I was gutted because Hull Kingston Rovers scored a late try because I had Huddersfield by 22. So cheers, Giants. Simon, thank you very much.
So what's it? Phil's top, is it?
Yeah,
Phil's top.
apart from the fact that, I mean, Phil got all 5 results right last week. We got 4 out of 5, but you got 1 spot on. So we both went for Wakefield, didn't we?
Yeah.
We
Won't be making that mistake.
We didn't figure out for the magic of Ollie Holmes and his headband. So what can you do?
Nah.
Danny Richards kicking there.
So Phil's got 39 points.
You've got 35 and I've got 32.
Right.
I don't know who other is. There's other on the thing, but I don't know.
Presumably that's when we have a 4th person.
Yeah. Right, okay. Hull KR Castleford. Phil Castleford.
Just think Hull KR are busted at the moment. This game's come too early for them. I think they would have done anything to have a couple of extra days. Mulhern now we know isn't playing. Cass confident, coming off a comprehensive second half against Wakefield, and no matter how we think Wakefield played, Cass did a decent job in that second half. John Wells told me so, they must have. I can only see a Cass win, and I'll go Cass by 12.
We never got to talk about Phil Clark's role net, did we?
Roll up. Captain Birdseye.
Great line from Brian Carney. He knows what he's doing. Don't think you don't know what he's doing. Last week, Cass won the Adam Martini Trophy. Great to see Frank Martini on the pitch as well after the game. This week they'll win the Roger Millwood Trophy because they're going to beat Hull Kingston Rovers, and I think it'll be comfortable. And I'm going to go by the same score I went last week for Hull KR to lose by. I'm going to go by 22 again.
Got a few back, haven't they, Cass, I think, this week?
Yes.
Potentially. Which will help. I think Hull KR will come and throw it around. But I think Cass looked quite good when they went through hands. I got to go Cass. I go Cass by 14. I think Rovers will score a few points. Leeds Warrington, the Friday night game. Oh, 1 game on a Friday night. It's great. It's on the telly and everything.
Really?
Brilliant.
Big old
right.
Leeds,
Yeah. Come on, Leeds Warrington.
Warrington are on at the moment. Again, they can be either absolutely brilliant, beating St Helens 19-0, or they can go off the boil for 2 weeks and have their attitude.
They lost to Wakefield, Phil.
Which was an attitude issue, apparently. But they weren't crash hot against Toronto. A game that I listened to. I don't think Maludi did get the ball down at the end, which would have given Toronto. It looked like he might have dropped it, but when you were listening to the radio, it seemed as though Toronto might have nicked it at the end. That would be a worry, I think, for Steve Price, that he hasn't quite got that level of consistency out with these guys. We said this time last week, again, squads haven't been announced, but Reece Martin has declared himself fit. Stevie Ward started his concussion protocol. He could be fit. There's a little bit of a confidence about Leeds at the moment. Not overconfidence, because they're coming from a very low point. Having lost against the last team that is expected to be up towards the top in Hull, I think this is quite a big game for Leeds to prove to their own fans that they can do it.
Big Warrington in the last season as well, didn't they?
Probably their best performance of the season.
Yeah.
There was a lot of emotion that night because it was Jamie Jones Buchanan's final game, and I'm going to go, because I wouldn't I, Leeds by 2. But I think it'd be a great game.
I'm tempted to go to this on Friday.
You'd be more than welcome.
Get accredited. I'm allowed back. I'm allowed in Henley, it's alright, I think. I need to see some.
Don't forget your t-shirt.
Yeah. Style them outside with the rainbow flags. I'm going to go for Leeds as well. It's so early in the season, I've worked out which teams are probably not good and which teams are good. That's St Helens. And then there's all these other teams which you're never quite sure what they're going to do. So I'm going to side just about with Leeds because that Louis and Gale partnership, from what I'm told. So I don't think I've Leeds been on the telly and I've seen them, I don't know.
Against Hull in round 1.
Oh yeah, they were rubbish that day. But now they're good. Yeah, their partnership's more settled. It's going to be tight though, Leeds by 4.
You know what? I am quite tempted by Leeds, and I did go for them last week. I did say they'd win last week, didn't I? I think this is a bigger game for Warrington. You know, that it's fully. I'm with you. They're a bit
Pressure on
on
Steve
cold,
Price
aren't
already.
They need a win, Warrington.
Matty Ashton out with his pulled hamstring.
Yeah, I'm going to go Warrington by 2. But
It
I
could
am
be that
honestly,
sort
I
of
think
game.
it could be either
Yeah.
way. I wouldn't be surprised if Leeds won. So I'll go Warrington, just to be different. No anti-Leeds bias there. Toronto against St Helens. Now this is an interesting game because 2 weeks ago Toronto were in absolute crisis, but they went to Wigan and give Wigan a game for an hour. They had a nightmare start at Warrington and then give Warrington a game until the last 5 minutes. Saints coming off the back of a brilliant performance last week, but
Which
at what cost?
will have taken something out of him because it does every year for every team that plays in the World Cup. You have to be at such a high.
Yeah, that
to
was
play
a grand final style performance from them.
And you have to come down from that and play again against a team that you're expected to beat. That's a big psychological ask. The only problem with making predictions this early in the week is we genuinely don't know who's going to be available for Toronto.
No, we'll be doing it for a couple of years,
there,
so don't worry
there
about
could be
that.
20 players or there could be 17. We don't know. I think it's a very good chance for Toronto to make a bit of a statement this week. But I just have a feeling that Saints will do enough to scrape by. But I think they will be pushed probably till very late on. I'm going to go Saints by 4.
I've seen this film before and I know what happens. It's like when Crusaders signed Gareth Thomas and he didn't score any tries and they played Wakefield and he scored a try. So I know exactly when Toronto's first win's coming.
It's coming against Leeds the following week when Brian McDermott returns to Headingley.
There's that. Oh, no, I can't say that. Hopefully he turns up for the presser this week. Don't want to get a big fine. St Helens by 12. Can't do anything to it.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? This I can't make my mind up whether Saints and Christian Wolf will be telling them how great they are after last week. In a good way, I don't mean no way brilliant, blah blah blah. But I think they've almost set a standard there that if they play like that, and you can't play like that every week, but if they play like that, Toronto ain't going to beat them. Let's be fair, they're not. But I think there's a little bit of belief growing in Toronto. I'm just wondering. Will he leave some out, Wolf? We don't know that about him. We don't know what his thought process is on that.
The Holbrook
Who have they got the week after?
Toronto like London, is that what we're saying?
Who have they got the
I'll
week
tell you,
after?
bear with me.
If they've got a big game the week after,
they are at home to Huddersfield.
top of the table clash.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that constitutes a big game. Oh, no,
If it was a Wigan or a
if it's a
Warrington.
Wigan or a
Yeah.
Warrington, a big local derby where
Yeah.
he probably feels he's got to go big.
Is John Wilkin playing or is he still injured this week?
Well, hopefully he's uninjured again. At the start of the season, I think he's their pivotal man. Will.
And he was great.
Yeah. And
considering-
now they've got O'Brien and they've got a bit more of a threat.
Sunnyville's a week better.
Sod it. They're going to win.
Oh,
Tony
Toronto by
Gigo a
4.
week better.
Toronto by 4.
yeah, who else are going to get in on trial this week?
Yeah.
Jonathan
This is a
Thurston,
good
he's in
one.
the country.
Huddersfield
This is the game of
against
the round.
Wigan.
This is the game of the round because this will tell us a lot about both teams.
It will.
It's a major test for the Giants. I think everything they've done so far has been exemplary. You're absolutely right to pick out the win at Catalan in week 1. I still think week 1 is the week you can't draw too much of a form line on. But that was a really, really impressive performance. They've done everything that's asked of them in the weeks after it. But they will come up against a team that is incredibly well drilled. Might not be the most entertaining team in the league, but everybody knows their job. There's a little bit of competition for places, and from what I've seen, which hasn't been live, it's either been on the telly or in the highlights, Jackson Hastings is starting to fire. He's starting to take Wigan around the park.
Yeah.
And every week he's going to get a little bit better, and those combinations with Farrell
You know
with
the
Bevan
phrase I
French,
use?
you're going to get better.
He's quietly going about his business.
Because
Like he's getting a little bit better every week.
Doesn't need to be the king every week because he's got.
Having Powell back helped them this week massively.
So this will be a real test for where Huddersfield are, because we know what we're going to be like. They're going to be solid. They've conceded 2 tries every game they've played, so they're not going to offer a lot of chances. I think Wigan will win by 2, but we will see enough of Huddersfield to say they're going to be nearer the top 5 this season than the bottom 4.
Yeah.
So like I say, it's the game of the round this one, isn't it? And so much so that with everything Phil said, I'm going slightly the way because it's going to be that tight. I'm going to go for Huddersfield by 2, but this could be a draw. Could be goal, could be anything.
Yeah, I think this could be something like 14-10, something like that.
It's going to be close and intense.
I've not seen enough of Huddersfield. I've seen a bit of Wigan in the last couple of weeks, and they were good yesterday without being anywhere near as good as they can be.
But at week 4, you don't need to be as good as you can.
No,
you wouldn't
exactly.
expect to be as good as you can.
Their defence was very good. It's going to be interesting. Lulai picked up a bit of a knot. I'll be worried if he's playing, but Smith, the young kid, played. He looks a player.
He's great.
And they've got the likes of Flower. There might be a couple back this week. I just think they might have a little bit too much. I'll go Wigan by 4. Tight though. Could go. These are games we don't know who's going to win.
Exactly.
This is what we want.
Exactly.
Hull Catalans.
Here's another one. I don't know. I genuinely don't know who goes into this game as favourites. Is it going to be Hull have got a point to prove, they need to hit back after 2 really disappointing defeats? Is it going to be Catalan, who've been afforded the luxury of a week off, who can come over here and give it everything? Challenge Cup last year, Catalan were awful. Worst display of the season.
Yeah. This is their first away game, isn't it?
Tompkins in fine form the last time they played. That's Sam, not Joel. I'd like to think that Hull at home are going to be extremely difficult to beat all season, irrespective of who they're playing. But I think there's some weaknesses there.
Is Kelly going to play? Will it be Connor?
But that immediately puts pressure on Kelly. Like, you've got to be our saviour.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it does. I don't know. I'm struggling on this one. I'll be honest with Phil. I genuinely don't know which way to go.
I don't think there's a form line on this because Catalan have only played 2 games.
You know, first away game, sticky one, isn't it?
But I'll stick my neck out and go Catalan by 4.
Same number the other way. They are gloriously, consistently inconsistent. I don't know what's going to happen with the Catalans in this one. That week off is key. But I'm going to go for Hull by 4.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a chance, Hull. Against my better judgment, I feel, but I'm going to give him another go. Love Sarte back. Will add a bit of physical prowess to their team. Connor can't be as bad as he's been the last 2 weeks, can he?
I just think
Griffin was
James
brilliant.
Maloney will show them what they're missing.
Yeah, maybe he will. But I'll go Hull, and I'll go Hull by 1.
Sneak drop goal.
Salford against Wakefield.
The game of the week.
This is
on the basis of the fact that nothing is decided this early in the season. What it does is it sets you up for your next 4 or 5 games. The loser of this is under pressure.
Losers could be bottom of the table.
The winners will say we've had an inconsistent start to the season, but we're building now. The losers are going every week now. We're looking over our shoulder because it ratchets up a little bit. My real concern for Wakefield is losing another 2 players. So whereas we've talked about there are some teams that don't get injuries, there are other teams that can't stop getting injuries. Hull Car and Wakefield this year are partly where they are in the table because of the number of players they haven't got available to them. And you know, I'm still not sure where Ryan Hampshire's best position is. But I know that when Danny Bruff's out, you can't really afford not to have Ryan Hampshire.
Yeah, no, I think he's improved, I have to say that.
And I have to say that I probably saw enough in Salford's play through the likes of Dudson, Paulie, to say that they'll probably just have a bit too much power for Wakefield this week.
Okay.
So I'm going to go Salford by 6.
Rich?
Sorry, Rich.
We're fighting back. We're going to win by 8.
Okay. Well, I'm, as I know to my cost, Wakefield don't have a good record at Salford in recent times. I think this is must win for Salford, although I notice they've only scored 50 points in 4 games. That needs to improve. I'm going Salford by 6. That's it, we've done. We've run over again,
Wow.
amazingly.
And
Phil,
we ate the whole biscuit.
Well, that's probably what's powered us on. We'll probably still be awake at 6 o'clock in the morning. There's that much sugar in it. But thanks to the biscuit providers, the London Broncos fans even. Thanks to Rich. Thanks to you for watching. Subscribe, like, share. Thank you as always. We'll see you next week.
Smashed it. See you.
Well done. We've run over, don't we? Didn't realise.